is it's just virtually impossible to permit a new oil refinery here in the United States or to do work to expand production in the existing refineries. And that's why our refineries predominantly operate on heavy crude, because that's what was available when the refineries were built.
Yeah, I saw where we authorized a new refinery last week to be built. I guess that is just getting through the licensing and the permit part of this. Now they'll start actually building the infrastructure to open it up and start working on crude and turn it into products that are necessary.
Yeah, the problem with that, and the administration's doing a phenomenal job of expediting the permitting process and getting these records of decision out, which you think that's the green light to go build something, and it is, but there's a caveat there because existing law gives a 6-year time frame in which somebody can file a suit against that permit, and you can go to court and a judge can place an injunction on it and kill the project. So anything that this administration approves can still be challenged in court and stopped by judicial order. That gets greatly abused, and it affects everything from energy to infrastructure. It drives our national debt up because things that are funded with public money, like highways and roads and bridges and all that, it takes longer to build them, and the cost is up. So what we've got in the SPEED Act is we've reduced that 6-year window on judicial review so that it's only 150 days. You have to have standing, which means you had to have been involved in the permitting process to go through the judicial review. And then we require the judges to remand the decision back to the agency if they found a problem with it, so that the problem can be fixed, rather than just issuing an injunction and stopping the project in its tracks. There's some exciting news happening this week. I know I've talked about this on your show before, but there's a copper mine out in Arizona. It was 2018 when I visited it, and it took them decades to get the permit for it. That company had spent around $2 billion on that mine, and through the judicial review process, there was a lawsuit and a judge issued an injunction. That was, 8 years ago. And just this week, they finally got that resolved so they can start construction on the mine again. Think about if you're an investor and you spent $2 billion on a project and it's been put on hold for 8 years. Think of what that does to your financial returns. And it's a deterrent to future investors to say we want to invest in mining or pipelines or whatever in the United States, because there's a good chance the court's going to shut us down and we're not going to be able to build our project. So that's why we're 90% dependent on China for rare earths and critical minerals, because we can't build new mines in a timely manner here. We can't process the material coming out of it. And it really does affect our national security and our economic security.
All right, we got to take a break, Congressman. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes here. Congressman Bruce Westerman, District 4, is on the line with us. We'll talk and finish up our conversation with him when we come back here on the Dave Ellswick Show, 101.1 The Answer.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The United States and Israel are winning this battle with the Islamic Republic of Iran decisively. Our Gulf allies are standing strong. The cost has already been high, with at least the U.S. and IDF forces paying the ultimate price. But of course, some hard left partisans hate the prospect of either President Donald Trump or the United States as a whole winning an important, indeed a crucial battle. The left in America refuses to come to grips with how evil the Iranian regime is and for how long it has been so. The collapse of moral clarity among American elites on the left is complete. Democrats are defeatist, appeasers, anti-Semitic in some cases, or simply deranged by their hatred of President Trump. You keep speaking up too. We want to hear you say all these crazy things. History will record your positions. The Republican Party should boldly proclaim that, even after 250 years, our country still knows what's right from wrong and will defend the right. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
In the world of generators, trust, not marketing, defines success. Northside Power is a trusted name when the power goes out. We're ranked number one in generator sales, service, and installation. No gimmick and no side hustle. No matter your home's needs, Northside Power installs, service, and monitors generators 24/7. When the power goes out, excuses don't keep your lights on. Experience does. That's Northside Power. Generators isn't something we do. It's all we do.
Now, back to the Dave Ellswick Show. 101.1. The Answer.
All right, back. We're talking with Congressman Westerman from District 4. And let's move into some things that are happening just for our country. The SAFE Act. How are you in the House helping the Senate Republicans move along, trying to get this thing okayed and get it back to you guys so that you can go along with it?
I mean, it's just some friendly encouragement, I guess, is what you would say, because we really don't have any power over the Senate. But I know it's on a lot of senators' minds because there's been such a big deal made about it. There's a huge push from the president. We've obviously passed it out of the House, so the Senate's feeling a lot of pressure to do something. And this is one of those issues that lots of people care about it. I was at a leadership meeting with the speaker and some others a few weeks ago, and we were talking about plans going forward. And I said, a lot of constituents that I've talked to, a lot of people across the country, I said the only thing they want to talk about is the Save America Act. And people are saying, well, we passed it. I said, well, I don't think that's good enough. I think people are really honed in on this, as they should be, because it's such an important issue and it's so easy to communicate. And, there's polling out there that shows that like 80 or 90% of the population thinks you should have voter ID and should have proof of citizenship before you get your voter ID.
Right.
And the conversation kind of tapered off, and thought, well, I guess my colleagues aren't hearing the same thing I'm hearing about it. Then we go down to Florida last week, and President Trump comes out and says, I'm not going to sign anything else until the Save America Act's passed, because I think the president really has a good political pulse. He understands what really people fired up, and he's dug in on this. So it's got the Senate focused on how they're going to address the issue. I mean, I don't think I'm almost certain they're not going to get 6 votes to get cloture,
right,
to pass the bill. But at the minimum, I think they should use the old rule so that Democrats have to get up and debate against the Save America Act, say why they don't think it's proper for someone to have an ID and to be an American citizen to vote, and they have to vote and be on record on cloture. The way the rule works right now, they never vote. Nobody's on record. It just doesn't come up if they can't get agreement on cloture.
Yeah, and typically you all float that out to see what the vote count. That's what the whip does, and he'll come back and tell the leadership, do we have the votes to get this or don't we? And if you don't, then might as well not. And it's a lost cause unless you want to get them on record. And that's what I'd like to see y'all do. So get these Democrats on record saying that, oh, yeah, we're not worried about illegals voting after our party. Let, 10, 15, 20 million people waltz across our border and, being, in the United States. I think if those type of things get out, people will start looking differently at what you all are doing in the Congress.
Right. And we do that in the House. We put bills on the floor and you have to vote. And if you don't vote, it's the same as a no. Mm-hmm. You can. So every Republican and every Democrat in the House is on the record on how they feel about voter ID and citizenship to vote. So I think what people are asking is, where's the Senate on this? And the Senate's always been able to, I hate to say hide behind the cloture rule, but the cloture protects them from having to take votes that they don't want to have to explain. And I think, I don't think there's any Republicans in the Senate would vote against the Save America Act. And the Democrats that oppose it, I think they should have to be on record opposing it.
Yeah, even Murkowski might vote for that. I don't know. I don't know what she's going to do.
I can't imagine, especially because there's a lot of Democrats think you should have voter ID.
Yeah.
And, we've got it in Arkansas. And to me, the elections run smoother now than they ever have. And you remember when we passed that through the state legislature, yep. You had to have voter ID, and you would have thought the sky was falling. This was going to disenfranchise people. And every argument you're hearing now, they made in Arkansas when we did voter ID.
Yep.
But our elections run smoothly. We have results that night. You're not carrying on for weeks counting ballots like they do in these other states. They count them until they get the result they want, and then the election ends.
Yeah, that's the way it works in the Soviet Union too. It's just I'm beginning to believe that Democrats are just an arm of the old Soviet Union, to be honest with you, Congressman. But that's me saying that. That's not you. I'm not going to put it on you. U.S. Congressman Bruce Westerman, our guest this morning. Bruce, thank you very much for giving us the time, and we'll see you next week.
See you, Dave. Have a great week.
Okay, bye-bye now. Congressman Bruce Westerman, District 4. Congressman Crawford is up after the news here on the Dave Ellswick Show.
Find us at 1011FM, theanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. Iranian state media is reporting an attack on facilities linked to its offshore South Pars natural gas field. Not clear whether Israel or the U.S. carried out the attack. President Trump says NATO making a very foolish mistake. He's not happy with the allies who refused to help the U.S. secure oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, where Iranian tankers have been moving through.
About 90 ships, including oil tankers, have crossed the Strait of Hormuz since the beginning of the war with Iran. Maritime and trade data platforms report it's still exporting millions of barrels of oil at a time, when it says it closed the key waterway for vessels of the U.S. and its allies. And analysts say Iranian oil export volumes remain resilient in the Strait, the so-called dark transits, evading Western sanctions that likely have ties with Iran. More recently, vessels with ties to India and Pakistan have also successfully crossed the Strait. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Another senior Iranian official has been taken out by Israel. Iran's intelligence minister, the third high-ranking Iranian official to be killed in 2 days. Senate Republicans pushing ahead to advance an election integrity bill.
The Save America Act includes a couple of key components, which is citizenship to be able to register to vote in this country. And the second component is that you actually have to show an ID to vote in this country. We think those are both things that are overwhelmingly popular all across this country, no matter what your political party is.
Senate Republican leader John Thune, wholesale inflation staged a comeback last month. Producer prices up 3.4%, the biggest jump in a year. And on Wall Street, Dow futures down 167. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Ukraine's wartime leader tells British lawmakers that Russia and Iran have something in common and that both are terrorist regimes.
One war is just weeks old, another more than 4 bitter years. But President Zelensky is worried that conflict in the Middle East means a shortage of missiles that he needs to keep fighting Russia in Ukraine, worried that the United States is absorbed by conflict with Iran, delaying negotiations that might eventually bring war on the edge of Europe to an end. But candid in his view that President Trump's only priority is to stop that war, not to defend the smaller country Ukraine from its aggressor Russia.
And that's the BBC's Laura Kunsberg. Italy's most popular tourist destination, the Colosseum, has a bright new look following restoration using the same travertine marble of ancient Rome, recreating parts of columns from 2,000 years ago. Townhall.com. Well, something tells me we're not quite getting the full story about this rather unusual occurrence.
An underground pipe has risen 32 feet out of a street in Osaka, Japan. The steel pipe raised up overnight, unseen by any witnesses. Construction leaders say the pipe has a diameter of more than 11 feet. It has now been lowered back toward the ground after firefighters cut a hole in the metal. Officials say cutting away the remaining pipe will cause a road closure for several more days. And right now, engineers are scratching their heads. They don't know how it happened. Jason Walker reporting.
A new U.S.-Indonesia trade pact aligns the South Asian nation's resource wealth and energy future more closely with America's.
Don't miss out on the latest news. Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. 101.1 The Answer. Weather.
It will be a bit warmer today, high of 68, but it's still going to feel cooler than that with the wind chill. 42 tonight, then sunshine and 79 for tomorrow.
All right, back with you, Dave Ellswick Show, and we're going to bring up now the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, and that's our own Congressman Rick Crawford. And Congressman Crawford, you want to talk about what Joe Kent did about resigning on counterterrorism and things, and he said that Iran didn't pose any kind of imminent threat to the United States. I think that's just crazy talking as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Iran has put the United States since
They acted on it in 1979 and took, somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 American hostages for somewhere in the neighborhood of 445 days, roughly. There's no question that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and have done for 47 years. So I take issue with that. No disrespect to him for his 11 combat tours and the service that he has provided this country. But I absolutely take issue on his assessment of the threat that Iran, the United States, and our in the region.
All right. So one of the things that it seems to me is when I did some background on Kent, it said that he was kind of a grandstand player, and I don't. That doesn't say anything about his tours that he went on or anything like that. I'm a veteran. I like that he went and served this country, but I just think he's way off base on this one.
I agree with you. I don't care for his assessment on the way out of the door. If you want to take a stand on principle, that's fine. No issue there. But the way you did it, I don't appreciate, and I think he could have gone about that in a different way that would have maybe not been such a poor reflection on him.
Well, let me ask you, you're the chair of the Intelligence Committee. I know you can't share things that are top secret or whatever, but what have you heard? You don't have to give specifics, but do you believe that the president was right in doing what he's done in Iran now because they are an imminent threat to this country?
Absolutely, I think he did the right thing. In fact, I think Ronald Reagan did the right thing in 1988. The problem is he didn't do enough at the time. That was an opportunity to really have shut down the Iranians, and I mean he took I think the appropriate action back then. The problem was he just didn't go far enough to totally defang the Iranian regime at that time. And had he done so, who knows? I mean, there might not have been a 9/11. We don't know. But, I mean, the reality is that Iran was and is the largest state sponsor of terror in the world. And, we shouldn't wait around for them to, take further action beyond what was already demonstrated in, strikes against Israel, obviously, but their proxy network, the Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, others. I think you could probably say that ISIS was also a proxy, although they weren't necessarily formally aligned with Iran. But I mean, what we know is over the course of the last 20-odd years or longer, that Iran has provided a safe space. They have provided material support. They have provided training. They have provided all kinds of support to terror networks across the world. And if that's not an imminent threat to the United States, what is? I mean, you go back through history and look at what's happened since 1979. Had the Beirut bombing of the American Marine barracks. You've had the Khobar Towers bombing in '96. You've had other strikes, the USS Cole. You've had a number of others. I mean, you can say, well, that was, these were Al Qaeda affiliates, or these were, affiliates of Bin Laden and so on.
Well, the question is where they get their money, and they got it from Iran.
Yeah.
I mean, Iran put a lot of money out.
So, this is, in my opinion, this is long overdue. I'm actually glad to see that the president took the action that he did, and it's about time the Iranians have been brought to heel.
It's about time too that the folks at NATO, you put up or shut up, because we're protecting their rear ends right now by trying to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, trying to defang the Iranians and all the rest. I mean, I don't understand why they're acting the way they are. I'll let that be our last question.
Well, I'll tell you this. Europe is kind of like the vote no, hope yes caucus. They don't want their fingerprints on it, but they want us to do. They are, I promise you, they're sitting back going, oh, I'm glad they're doing it. We don't want to do it because this way we can keep our hands clean, our fingerprints aren't on this, and that way we can retain this erudite sort of position that we're better than the Americans. We don't get involved in these foreign entanglements. But you know and they know that it's essential that this be undertaken, and they're loath to get in because they're just, hoping that we can take care of it ourselves, and that way they can retain the high ground, the moral high ground as they see it. That's just bull. This has gone on long enough. I mean, we're the ones that have secured Europe since 1945, post-World War II. And you think about the footprint that the United States has in countries like Germany and others. What would happen if we weren't there? What would have happened at the height of the Cold War if we were not there to protect Western Europe? Not only did we protect Western Europe and continue to do so, but the economic impact of our presence there, if we were to pack up and leave, not only would we leave Europe completely vulnerable because they don't spend enough money on the defense of their own countries, they rely on us to do it. Not only would they be completely vulnerable, their economies would collapse as a result of it. And here's the other thing. If you want to know the truth of it, you look at countries like Poland and Romania, that's the front now.
Yeah.
That's where we need to be. And Poland has stepped up their contribution. Poland's doing it right. Romania is doing it right. Lithuania is doing it right. Where's Germany, France, Spain? Where are they? They're sitting back, taking shots at the United States without stepping up their contribution to their own defense because they know that we've done it and we'll continue to do it. And Donald Trump is saying, look, we'll stay the course, sure, but you guys got to pony up and start at least putting some material support behind your own national defense. And, at some point in time, we may just reposition our assets in Germany to, countries that are more serious about it, like Poland, like Lithuania, like Romania and others that are absolutely committed. And, I would love to see Germany change their position a little bit. And Spain, don't even get me started on Spain. The nerve that they have, when we provide all kinds of security to Spain, and yet they're telling us we can't even take off and launch missions because they don't support the effort that we're engaged in. That's ridiculous.
How much do you think that the migration of Muslims into Spain, into France, into the UK has played an effect on what they say and what they do?
Well, they are trying to take over Western civilization, and we all know that. They don't want to say it for whatever reason. I don't think that, you can't view your own national security through the lens of political correctness anymore, but that's exactly what's taking place. UK is gone as we used to know it, and I lived there as a kid, and I'm a big Anglophile. I love Great Britain. Mm-hmm. And I still get up on Saturday mornings and watch Premier League soccer. I'm a big fan. I love England, but my gosh, they have got to wake up and smell the coffee because they are being overtaken. Their culture, they're being robbed of their culture. And that's pretty much all of Western civilization. If we don't do anything, the Muslim population will take over Western civilization as we know it. And of course, that's their game. And I'm sorry, I'm just not going to apologize for that. We're seeing it right before our eyes. And unfortunately, we're starting to see it in the United States where you start to see these communities, these enclaves that are invoking Sharia law over the United States Constitution. We just absolutely cannot have that.
I agree with you 100%. I promised them we'd get you out of here early, so we'll do that for you. We understand you got things to get to. Congressman Rick Crawford from our 1st District here in Arkansas, thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
You bet. Thank you, Dave. See
Talk to you later. All right, Rick Crawford here on the Dave Ellswick Show. He's right about Europe. Surely you can see that. Surely you understand. I know, don't call me Shirley.
I was just getting ready to say.
I know that's going through people's minds.
I was just getting ready to say, don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, here's the key, all right? He's right. He is absolutely 100% hitting the nail on the head. The UK may be gone as we know it.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's the God honest truth.
But, they're standing up in Germany and New Zealand. They've been standing up saying Kiwis first in New Zealand. I mean, and then in Germany, they're literally wanting to send the Syrian refugees now that Assad's gone.
Yeah,
they want to send them back.
Well, they should.
And they're like, send them back, like people, and they're just literally.
They had an argument that they needed to come to Germany because of the untenable situation that they had there in Syria. That's not there anymore.
Nope.
So
and that's what
go back and build your nation.
And so the alt-right, they said Germany is like, we agreed we would never back anything that they back because of Hitler or whatever. They say that they're aligned with that, but they're like, we're tired of this. There's 1 million of them that came into our country. There's no reason for them to go back now. Build their own country, but they're all comfortable. And they're bringing their Muslim stuff to Germany, and people are not comfortable with that.
Yeah, well, I think that we should this is from the United States point of view. We tell them, you try to bring someplace into this country with Sharia law, we're going to send you back where they got Sharia law, and you can deal with it over there, not here. All right, I'm with them on that. I really am. All right, so we want to thank Congressman Crawford. He had about 10 minutes for us. And we knew that, so we gave him the 10 minutes to get on with us. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Dr. John Lott. He usually talks gun, not this time. Now, talking about guns with John Lott today, talking about Muslims. And what's the Muslim population up to here in the United States? And we're going to talk about that. That's why you turn to this show, isn't it? We talk about things everybody else wants to hide behind bushes and say that's not something we need to talk about.
And we're not fear mongering.
Yeah,
this is literally in your face.
Yeah, well, this is
you don't recognize that you're going to fall.
This is back information that John Lott has got from his work as a professor. We'll talk to him about it, and then the final hour, a good friend of mine, the cartoonist from the Demgaz, John Deering, is going to be. Everybody loved having him on a couple of weeks ago. Well, he's back with me here in the 10 o'clock hour. So let's take a break. Then we'll come back and finish up the show for this hour, and then we'll have our guests back on coming up at 9:05.
Are in a 401k or an IRA, then listen carefully. You spent 30, maybe 40 years building your retirement. The question is, are you about to watch it take a hit you can't recover from? Military escalation in Iran, tariffs in legal chaos, the U.S. dollar under pressure it hasn't seen in years. History is clear. When this much uncertainty hits at once, the investors who moved into gold and silver first came out ahead. Right now, Advantage Gold is offering a free gold investment kit and a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's powerful new book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty free through Advantage Gold. Don't wait for the next surge to wish you had moved sooner. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Concerned about market risk? I'm Ference Toth, host of the Your Personal Bank Show. The S&P 500 valuations are higher than at any time ever recorded in stock market history. This includes 1929 and 1999. Annuities and Your Personal Bank offer unlimited upside with no downside risk. Tune in to the Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. or contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. The Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 101.1 The Answer.
The Dave Ellswick Show is back. 101.1 The Answer.
I don't know if you saw this particular story today or not, but Cuba's national power grid absolutely collapsed yesterday, and the entire island went dark.
Wow, I did not see that.
Yeah, Cuba's electrical grid suffered total failure Sunday, plunging the island of 11 million people into darkness as the communist regime faces mounting pressure from U.S. economic sanctions and spillover from the Iran war. That's from the Associated Press.
I feel so bad for the people there, though.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
They don't, like, they can't.
They just want to live in peace, you know what I'm saying?
They don't even have decent cars. They have 1950s cars.
I
Like,
know.
it's crazy.
Which is kind of cool that if you get a chance to go over there, you see cars that.
But you know that you
with
can
the
get a cup of
fins.
coffee for 5 cents, though.
Yeah, well, when it's crazy. The Minister of Energy and Mines posted on X. He said it was a complete disconnection of the country's electrical system, and said it was investigating, noting there were no failures in the units that were operating when the grid collapsed. More from the Washington Times. Blackouts are not part of the daily life of Cubans. Well, they're now part of it, who in recent months have grown accustomed to outages that in some regions can exceed 20 hours a day. Cuba is suffering a full-blown energy crisis that has deteriorated significantly over the past year and a half. It was the third major blackout in Cuba over the past 4 months. John Sexton of Hot Air wrote, "Whatever it was, we've known for weeks that these plants were running out of oil. Sooner or later, this was bound to be the outcome. The only solution is to reach some kind of understanding with the Trump administration. Cuba's blackouts have already led to nightly protests." When's the last time you saw that on television?
Right.
Nightly protests. And over the weekend, those protests escalated to an attack on the Communist Party officials in offices in one city. No doubt this nationwide blackout could lead to more of that. Oh, don't expect to see that on national news anytime soon. I mean, Fidel Castro and Cuba have been their darlings since the late 50s.
Mm-hmm.
They look away. They look away whenever you get a chance to take a look in those jail cells, and you find all the political prisoners that they have in them, and that the Cuban government has done. I'm going to make a TikTok video for us, and I like those videos that people put up, and they got like the placards, and it says something on it, and then they drop one, and then the next one says something else about it, and you go through them all, and then at the end it's got the
piece of paper, and they just write stuff.
Yeah, I want to do that, but I want to do it with all the socialist garbage that a lot of the college kids believe, and now it's getting down into the high schools because of the teachers not teaching things that they should be teaching about, and do that. And then at the end, I want to have one that just says, just read some history.
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
That's
honestly,
it. That's all you got to do is look at history, and none of them have ever survived.
They're like, oh, this communist thing is a great idea.
Yeah.
Really?
Everybody gets what they need.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
It doesn't work that way.
Nope.
It does not work. And if you want to complain about it like you do here, they put you in the hoos cow and they do throw away the key there. You're going to spend all your time in a, maybe 10 by 10 cell, maybe less, maybe a big cell. Maybe you'll be in a 40 by 40, but you got 70 people in there as well.
That's craziness. How people think that that's going to be better.
Well, of course, but it's because it sounds better.
Because these teachers that have no clue.
Better.
These teachers talk about like, if only we could do it this way. It's like,
they go by what my shirt deals with today. I always have messages on my shirt a lot of times. And the shirt today says on it that my facts
you back up.
Don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see.
Yeah, let me get over.
There you go.
Get out of the way. I'm trying to figure out which way.
Microphone. Go to the left.
There you
go. There we go.
Yeah,
love it.
You can see it.
This is the fashion contest today.
Yeah, that's what it says.
We got to put you on the catwalk, Dave.
Yeah, facts don't care about your feelings, and they don't.
Nope.
They don't. Facts are facts.
Mm-hmm.
They're rock solid. And that's what I try to base on what I believe in.
And facts don't care if you believe them or not.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Doesn't matter how you feel about them.
Mm-hmm.
They're still facts. Mm-hmm. And you got to deal with that part of the argument, which is what they don't want to do.
They don't never have facts.
I always tell you that.
Like, oh, your eyeliner's a mess, girl.
We'll be sitting here talking and Val will be talking about these lefties sending her messages. And I said, well, you're just doing what lefties do. I mean, they're stupid.
Yep.
Dave, you said the S word.
They're dumb.
I did.
There's nothing else. I told French, how do you sit there and say, all right, liberal, or all right, Republicans, how about if we made it, you have to use your ID to buy a gun?
Yeah.
And I was just like, are you dumb?
Yeah,
or are you just wanting clicks?
Yeah, that's typically the point. Clicks are the point of why you put things on the internet.
But that's the dumbest statement that someone could possibly make.
Of course it is.
We've had to, since guns were like a maid.
If that was correct, if it's correct that this stuff works, then why is the Stasi not in charge of East Germany still? You know how much they were in charge of East Germany? They literally had every phone tapped.
And that was who? Who was in the KGB back then in control of all that?
Yeah, it was Putin. Yeah, he was
Yep.
part of that.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it.
In the 80s, Putin was around. Kind of like Hillary Clinton being around since Nixon. She worked on the Nixon impeachment.
I know.
That's crazy.
I got to laugh about her because did you see her big thing now that she's been talking about? We can't just have open borders. Have you seen that?
No. Now, all of a sudden?
Yeah,
really?
All of a sudden now we can't have open borders.
Back when Bill was when Bill was pushing for borders, everyone was quiet except for Republicans. We wanted it too, but and then they flip-flopped when Obama and Biden let it open.
Yeah.
And now they're back again.
All right, let's get to the news. That's up next.
SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Qatar is blaming and condemning Israel for an attack on an offshore natural gas field that it shares with Iran. The Iranian side of that facility, the South Pars field, is now on fire. Iran has launched multiple attacks on its Persian Gulf neighbors. Israel attacked as well. 2 people killed near Tel Aviv. Israel has hit Lebanon. Strikes, it says, targeted Iran-backed Hezbollah terrorists. President Trump is applauding the Senate's vote to start debate on the Save America Act, the election integrity bill requiring photo ID and proof of citizenship to vote. Senate Republican leader John Thune says ID is required pretty much for everything else. The GOP-led House committee has subpoenaed Attorney General Pam Bondi to answer questions about the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Stocks starting off the day in the red. This is SRN News.
A Social Security update. 70 million Americans collect Social Security benefits today, and millions more will join soon. Now, a new study finds 70% of Americans don't get the full benefits they deserve. but recipients can use simple strategies to boost Social Security benefits by as much as $188,000 over a lifetime. Social Security expert Michael Allen says it's true and reveals 5 key strategies to increase your benefits. It's all in his free special report. Newsmax calls the report your best guide for bigger Social Security benefits. Whether you're getting benefits or soon will, you need the Social Security report. Get it free. Call 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. We'll text it to you right away, along with President Trump's act cutting your Social Security taxes. Call now, 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. Text and data rates may apply.
Did you hear Congressman French Hill on the Dave Ellswick Show?
To the bottom of how we can reduce the waste, fraud, and abuse at HUD, increase the oversight of public housing agencies around the country, which will produce better housing results, safer conditions than our tenants across the country are seeing, including right here in Little Rock, where we've had, and North Little Rock, where we've had just recently, catastrophic outcomes in the Section 8 voucher tenant rental program with bad landlords that are not properly being overseen by the Housing Authority or HUD. How do these landlords get repeatedly approved for accepting federal HUD voucher programs when they offer terrible housing conditions and the worst sort of oversight? And that situation over near Shorter College last year that Mayor Hardwick dealt with was just horrific. It is a management issue and a capital expenditure issue. And does the federal government, through the Section 8 program, is it even functioning right?
Don't miss Congressman Hill, Wednesday mornings at 7 on the Dave Ellswick Show, 101.1. The Answer.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on the dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
The conservative voice of Arkansas, the Dave Ellswick Show on 101.1. The Answer.
Okay, back with you here on the Dave Ellswick Show. John Lott is up next here on the show. He's got an article out. You'll find it on X. And here's what it says. The evidence showed Muslims in the U.S. commit terrorism at a greatly disproportionate rate. The data also contradicts claims that whites or right-wing white supremacists pose the primary terrorist threat. I could have told them that. I mean, they could have saved their money, but, you got to have facts, too. And that's what John gets for us. He gets and the facts don't lie. He'll tell you that. The facts don't lie. And so, here's James McKenzie, what he said about the Lott article. The mass media constantly repeat misinformation from the Cato Institute, claiming that immigrants, both legal and non, are safe to have here. A deeper study finds these claims are inaccurate. And John Lott said, for your information, and he gives you a link to go to, and you can read an article at the New York Post saying new data reveals the horrific truth about illegal immigrant crime. And Dr. John Lott, and he's going to be talking about this in the next half hour, has a new op-ed at the New York Post. ChatGPT and Gronk's evaluations of the accuracy of the article are attached at the end. A comparison is also provided for the Texas and American Community Survey, data that is often used by those who want to claim that illegals commit crimes at a low rate. There's several reasons discussed in the article by the 14% of incarcerated individuals who are illegals is an underestimate. Another factor suggests these figures understate crime by illegal immigrants, though the article does not mention it. People tend to commit crimes against each other who are similar to themselves. For example, about 90% of black murder victims are killed by other black offenders. Illegal immigrants likely commit a disproportionate share of crimes against other illegal immigrants because illegal immigrant victims are less likely to report crimes because they don't want to go to the police because the country they came from, the police were just corrupt. Authorities likely catch these offenders at lower rates than other criminals. Activists claims that illegal aliens commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans do may appear convincing, but new data from New York shows those here illegally commit crime at a rate much higher than their share of the state's population. It's true if you if you lump all immigrants together, relatively few of them are accused and convicted of crimes committed here in the U.S. Legal immigrants commit crime at very low rates, so combining the crime data with that of illegal immigrants masks the latter's higher criminal activity. Now, fresh data from the Department of Homeland Security offers a fresh look at this question. As the Post has reported, the department claims that 7,113 of those currently incarcerated in New York State prisons and jails are illegal immigrants. They've been convicted of committing 148 murders, 717 assaults, 134 burglaries, 106 robberies, 235 dangerous drug offenses, 152 weapons offenses, and 260 sexual predatory offenses, among other crimes. What's more, New York's failure to honor U.S. immigration and customs enforcement detainers has resulted in the release of 6,947 criminal illegal aliens since January 20th of this year. The DHS data gives us a handy metric to calculate relative rates of criminality. Altogether, roughly 50,803 people are incarcerated in New York's prisons and jail system, about 32,469 in the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, and another 18,334 in the state, city, and county jails. The 7,113 illegal aliens currently incarcerated thus make up 14% of New York's total inmate population. And because the state doesn't actively identify immigration status, this share is likely an underestimate. Then another confounding factor is immigration authorities often deport undocumented immigrants directly from prison before they finish their sentences. In early 2025, for example, nationally, about half of the individuals that ICE highlighted in enforcement actions were already incarcerated at the time of their arrest. This practice skews crime data by underrepresenting illegal aliens in prison statistics, and some of them get removed early from prison. Some criminal illegals are even deported after arrest or conviction, never entering prison. So we're going to talk about all of that and more with John Lott. And that's coming up after the 9 o'clock news. So Dr. John Lott coming up. You don't want to miss that.
Now everybody's up to date on what he's been writing about.
You want to know what's going on? He'll tell us. I guarantee it. We'll know.
You know, we were talking about in the first couple of segments with the Congressman Hill and Westerman and Crawford about the Iran issue. And I just hope, all these people are not helping us to secure the Strait of Hormuz.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we secure that sucker and we charge everyone who didn't want to help us a high tariff.
Are you saying we should build a toll booth?
Man, I'm telling you. You don't want to help, but you want to use it.
Make it like the Suez Canal.
Yeah.
You got to pay to go through Suez Canal.
Yeah.
That was to offset building the Suez Canal,
exactly.
which wasn't cheap.
So you're going to help if you want to or not.
I mean, I think that's what they do down in Panama with Panama Canal.
So you're going to pay for it one way or another.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So you might as well help.
Yeah, well, you would think they would.
I mean, that just shows what kind of people they are.
It's what Crawford said. They want to be able to take the moral high ground by saying, see, we didn't do any of these things.
We didn't help these people.
It's the United States that's keeping the peace, not us. So they do the pilot thing. They get the bowl of water and they wash their hands and say, I don't find nothing here, and then turn them loose. It's the way they do.
It's insane.
The way it's going. I mean, 1 million people don't seem like a lot unless you live in Germany, where the population is a lot lower than it is in the United States.
Well, because that's what I thought whenever I saw
Spain's the worst of all of them.
When I saw 1 million people, I was like, well, that's not a lot. We had 20 million. But then I'm thinking, oh, these are all 1 million Muslims from Syria, though.
Yeah.
That's a whole percentage of your population.
They literally came from countries that were saying things like kill, destroy, get rid of all the Jews, do the same thing after you get done with the Jews, then we can take on the Christians. That's their thing.
Do you remember Todd Sharp?
Oh, yeah.
He posted.
He's still out. Is he in North Carolina or South Carolina?
Oklahoma, I think.
He's at he came back across to the United States. So
Broken Bow. He's in Broken Bow.
Okay. Yeah, I know where Broken Bow is.
But he wrote about 8 minutes ago, he wrote this. There are nearly 7 million Muslims in France, 5 million in Germany, and almost 4 million in the UK. All three countries are dealing with political unrest because the Muslims are practicing Sharia law out of their mosque and disrupting communities by forcing their beliefs on everyone instead of assimilating into the culture. The leadership of these three countries has never been weaker or more left-wing. All three leaders are afraid to support the U.S. because they are in fear of retaliation from the radical Islamists in their countries.
I said that on the air, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I didn't even read all that. I just think it's self-evident. It's kind of like the Constitution. These things are self-evident.
Well, yeah. And then he said that as well. The U.S. should secure the Strait of Hormuz and charge a fee for them for every barrel of oil that goes through it.
Well, it's just not oil, man. Let me tell you what. All the cargo that goes through
everything
is amazing.
Goes through it.
I mean, one of those big old cargo ships can carry well over 1,500 containers on it. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And they need it. I mean, and think about this. Also, you're helping the people of Iran who have to rebuild everything. Like they didn't have jobs or like anything like how can you can't survive when everything's being blown up?
Yeah, well, we found that after World War II.
Right.
That's why the United States became the mega power that they are, because there's nobody else to make the widgets.
Right.
We had factories still standing that could make all the widgets and stuff. That's the way it worked during that time. And of course, you lost 70 million people.
A lot of people.
A good percentage of it there in Europe.
A lot of people there.
I know it's a lot of people. And it was caused by one man, and who got a nation that went crazy inside their own heads and didn't do anything to stop him. Not a single thing. And don't tell me, don't you dare say, yeah, that's why I say Trump's a Nazi. Because as soon as you say that, I know that you don't know what you're talking about.
No, you don't. And you literally, you denigrate that word. And it just keeps deteriorating because you call everyone, Hitler was a bad human being.
Yeah, bad Mama Jama. He really was.
And you're calling Trump
Hitler.
That's just insane to me.
Yeah. Hey, by the way,
he's not killing Jews and lining them up and shooting them and putting them in the ground.
Now you've got Prime, right?
Yeah.
On Prime is the movie Nuremberg.
Yes, you told.
Watch it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you know nothing about history whatsoever, about the final solution and all of that, watch that movie. It's a great piece
But
of
how
work.
can you expect people to learn about history when they don't even remember 3 years ago when gas was $139 a barrel?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're literally talking to people who don't even know what 3 years ago was like.
I heard
they are literally in denial.
Burgum said today that once the Iranian situation is taken care of and things calm down, that oil will drop to $50 a barrel.
Yeah, that would be nice.
$50. So whatever you see at the pump, half it. That's what it is. We're heading towards. That's about $1.50 a gallon. I could get into that real easy. I do a lot of traveling, to be honest with you. But bottom line is that that's where we're at right now. We knew things were going to go up because to get rid of Iran and get them out of the production chain and everything, you got to destroy everything they got about. That country, if you don't mind leaving the United States, once they get rid of the people that are in there now running it and get a kind of a Democratic-led administration over there, there's going to be some big money to be made in construction and things of that nature in Iran. All right, let's take a break. Again, coming up at 9:05, Dr. John Lott talking about his latest article that he published on X, being able to show with facts that Muslims commit a disproportionate amount of crime in any country that they're in. It's just the way it is. And he zeroes in on the United States, but you can zero in on the other countries that have been seen. I mean, look, there's all kinds of rapes in the UK that don't even get reported if it's a Muslim man. They don't report them. That was a big story last year, but nobody pays attention to it. I don't know.
They just made it illegal in Afghanistan, legal in Afghanistan law that you can have a woman as a slave and beat her and rape her, and made it a law, Dave.
Well, yeah, but
these are the people who left.
That's the way the Far East looks at women. How many of the people you're hearing killed in the Iranian hierarchy are women? None, because there's no women in the power structure of that hierarchy.
There used to be.
Oh, yeah, when they were westernized.
Right.
Yeah, that's
back in the 70s.
Yeah, the one when they used to not run around with the hijab on, because they didn't have to wear it and get beat if they didn't.
Exactly.
All right, we got to get a break in. Let's do that. Then we'll come and finish up this half hour on the Dave Ellswick Show.
America is at a tipping point. To ensure we stay the land of the free and home of the brave, you need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Ellswick Show?
Yeah, and I think if I'm reading the president right, we were with him Monday, and I don't see an appetite for us to put boots on the ground in Iran. I don't think the president's going to come out and say one way or the other, because that weakens his position to say that. But I see it where he's going to meet the objectives, and then the Iranian people will have the option whether they want to fight for their government or have another despot in there building the regime back. But you make an important observation there, Dave. The Iranians started shooting missiles at their neighbors, just like a caged animal or something, just going after anybody that was around. And I think that's really soured the neighboring countries on Iran. So they're in a very bad spot.
Don't miss Congressman Westerman, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 on the Dave Ellswick Show, 101.1. The Answer. We bring you the biggest news stories of the day, not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1. The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Dave Ellswick Show continues now. 101.1. The Answer.
All right. Meme was sent to me today by Wayne Beach, and Wayne's on my show from time to time. And it's a picture of the world's most interesting man. And he's got one arm up on the table. Looks like he's looking into the camera and says, "Hey, if they can make blank up, so can we. If your refund is more than you paid in taxes, you aren't getting your taxes back. You're getting my taxes back."
So when they talk about communism in the United States, we have something worse than communism. We don't even expect you to work for the money that you get from us. They take from us. It's called redistributing wealth. They take from us and give it to people who don't make as much and then call that an income tax return. It's not a return because you didn't pay it in.
It's money being shifted around.
Yep.
That's definitely what's going on. I got this from Wayne, too, which I loved. It's Kamala Harris. What we are seeing is Donald Trump attacking another country. And that country, many people may not know a lot about, but it is a country. It's a country with people who have families, people who have been children.
What?
And when
is she drunk?
And when one country attacks another country, other countries may want to respond. And when other countries respond, that's how wars start. And sometimes those wars become world wars. And that is why I warned everyone.
She's an idiot, Dave. She talks to everyone like we're 12.
It's a great word salad that she loves to use.
It's like a Dr. Seuss book. I do not like green eggs and ham, said Sam I Am.
Yeah. Well, here's a good one. It's Lisa from what was Bart and those guys?
Bart Simpsons.
Yeah, the Simpsons. And she's got a slide up on the screen. So she's talking, she's the smart one in the room.
Oh, yeah.
The people who take politicians seriously are the same people who think the stripper likes them.
Yeah, Wayne sent me that one. I was like, yeah, that's true. And all they want your money.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. I won't say who told me it, but it was somebody I worked with a while back that said he's sure that he was one strip club that he used to always go to. And he says, I paid for her breast enhancement.
I bet. That's funny.
I have to kind of laugh at that, but it's not funny. They're not dancing and acting real nice towards you because
they like you.
They like you and they want to date you.
They want your money. They like your wallet.
We want to date you. That's what they want to do.
Men are just that dumb.
Yeah, they are. I will admit that there's a question mark in my mind about why you go to a strip club. I mean, seriously. I'm not saying I've never been to one, but normally
I've been to one.
I'm going because it's some bachelor's party or something.
I went because I was bored about 10 years ago. And my girlfriend, she was like, let's go check it out and see what it's like. So we went. Oh, and then I went to another one after a Misfits show in Sauget. So that was about 25 years ago. We, Michael Graves and Jerry Only and Chud they all went, and we met them afterwards, and they asked us if we wanted to come over there with them. And the funniest thing, the Misfits, the Misfits, right?
Yeah, I mean,
right. Look, they're behind the bar.
Michael's been on my
Yes,
show.
Michael used to live here.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how I met Michael. It was about 25 years ago in Sauget, Illinois at Pops, at the strip club next door to Pops. But look, Michael had a beer or two, but Chud, Doyle, and Jerry were behind the bar making their smoothies, their green tea smoothies.
Being careful.
Yeah, no, they didn't care. They were just utilizing the bar stuff. It was hilarious.
I'll call Michael and see if he'll join
us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I got a great story I'll tell you about Michael.
Michael Graves is who Dave's talking about.
Michael Graves, when he
he used to be here.
Yeah, when he performed, he used to make himself look like a skull.
Mm-hmm. He was the best front man, I think. Besides Danzig.
Yeah, he was good.
Danzig was awesome too, but they're different.
Danzig had a very distinctive voice.
Michael did too, though.
But here's the key. I got to know Michael really well, so I said, you ever had fried catfish? And he hadn't.
He was in New Jersey. He's from New Jersey.
I know. So I took him out to Cabot to have a fish dinner, fried catfish, the little dough balls, that you get, and everything else. And people got used to seeing me there because Uncle Dean's was one of the best places to get catfish. They're no longer in business. And I walked into Uncle Dean's, and it's just a typical down home, good old boy place.
Farmers.
And Michael's got his hair all tied out in cornrows and everything. And he walks in with me, and you're hearing all the people were talking and jabbering with each other. And we walked in and just went dead quiet.
That's awesome.
And I said, hey, everybody, this is Michael Graves, good buddy of mine. Come on up and meet him or whatever. And everybody went right back to eating their catfish.
Yeah.
Well,
Michael's
Dave
awesome
likes
dude.
him. He's a great man.
Yeah.
He really
huge
really
libertarian.
Is.
Love him to death.
I should get a hold of him and get him back on.
It's crazy though, because I had the biggest crush on him. When he first started with the Misfits, I was like goo goo gaga. Even with my husband there, I ran. I was like, Michael, and that's how we met. But after that, I just got to know him, and I don't really have a crush on him anymore. But he was just an awesome dude.
Big time conservative.
Yes. He's just an awesome dude. He's married.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think he is anymore.
Oh, that's right. They got a divorce.
I think they got divorced.
Maybe we should give him a call. No.
There you go. Let's take a break, and we'll be back with Dr. John Lott.
Bye-bye.
Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomas. Qatar is blaming and condemning Israel for an attack on an offshore natural gas field it shares with Iran. The Iranian side of the South Pars field is now ablaze. And Iran launched multiple attacks on its Persian Gulf neighbors overnight. Israel attacked as well, with 2 people killed near Tel Aviv, according to the BBC's Yolande Nell.
Iran fired missiles carrying cluster warheads at Tel Aviv overnight in what state television said was retaliation for Israel's assassination of Ali Larajani. Arab Gulf states have also come under renewed Iranian missile and drone fire as the US and Israel continue to attack Iran. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, has repeated his call for maximum restraint to avoid a nuclear accident. On Tuesday evening, a projectile hit near the Bushehr nuclear power plant without reports of damage.
Israel's defense minister says Iran's intelligence chief has been killed by Israeli forces. President Trump is applauding the Senate's vote to begin debating the Save America Act, the election integrity bill requiring photo ID and proof of citizenship to vote. Senate Republican leader John Thune says that ID is required for just about everything else.
Whether it's opening a bank account, getting a hotel room, picking up prescription drugs. You need a card in many cases just to get into a library. I mean, these are things that are just basic, fundamental aspects of our everyday life. We certainly ought to be able to apply them to something as important as voting in this country.
Wholesale inflation heated up again last month. The producer price index rising 3.4% from 1 year ago. Stocks in the red this morning on Wall Street. The Dow is down 179 points. The NASDAQ off 42 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, Mike Gallagher here, host of the Mike Gallagher Show. As we head into spring, there's some good news in the housing market. Rates have recently dropped. When rates drop, payments can drop. That can mean hundreds of dollars a month back in your pocket, money you can use to pay bills, reduce debt, or strengthen your financial position. That's why this is the time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. They're helping homeowners refinance into lower rates and reduce their monthly mortgage payments. Fellowship also offers a fixed rate line of credit for home projects or consolidating a high interest debt with fast approval and a predictable rate. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. That's 2 months of breathing room while you reposition financially. I've used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Before you make your next move, go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Widespread blackouts are stirring unrest in Cuba. People are taking to the streets, staging anti-government protests as the country's power woes continue.
Cuba is going through its 3rd island-wide blackout in 4 months. In Cuba, electricity is slowly being restored to hospitals and some homes. But officials warn the crumbling power network could fail again. In Havana, Dalva Obedo said the power outages are driving me crazy. Last night, I fell down a 27-step staircase. Now I have to have surgery on my jaw. I fell because the lights went out. After the U.S. ouster of Venezuela's leader, vital oil exports to Cuba have stopped. Ed Donahue, Washington.
President Trump says Cuba is in very bad shape, adding we'll be doing something with Cuba very soon. Secretary of State Rubio says the current government in Havana incapable of addressing Cuba's economic problems. Townhall.com. The robot umpire system for overturning ball and strike calls going to be used in the majors this season.
The abbreviation for the setup is ABS, but the most important letters might just be SIZE, as in the strike zone for some of the game's tallest players. The top and the bottom of the strike zone for baseball giants have long been 2 areas for umpires. But the ABS system provides an opportunity for a closer look, and there are some big dudes in baseball. San Francisco Giants rookie Bryce Eldridge is 6'7.5". The Yankees' Aaron Judge stands 6'7", but many swear he's closer to 6'9". Jason Walker reporting.
Venezuela has won the World Baseball Classic for the first time.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com. 101.1. The Answer.
All right, let's get back to it. Dr. John Lott's going to be with us here in just a moment. And again, we're not going to talk about guns per se. That's what he's well known for, is the studies that he's done about gun usage and, concealed carry and open carry and all the different ramifications that you have with guns. But now he's turned his attention to something that people have been saying. And so he went and did a little studying on it, and he wants to call BS on it. Doctor, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so why did you get interested in this? I understand it was because you were seeing different stories in the media talking about, Muslims are peaceful people and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, for years, we've put together data on mass public shootings. And if you've been to our website at crimeresearch.org, we have a great deal of data and information about the individuals, their background in many different ways, everything from whether they served in the military to whether they grew up in single-parent families to their political views to their religion. And, it's pretty clear just from the data that we had collected that there was one group in particular that was way overrepresented in terms of the rate of committing these types of attacks, in terms of their religious views. And that was Muslims. They, compared to their overall share of the population over the period of time from 1998 through 2025, they're overrepresented by a factor of about 18 more than their share of the population in terms of the rate that they're engaging in these attacks. We also broke it down by race, whether somebody's from Middle Eastern descent, and that's also overrepresented by a factor of about 16 compared to their share of the population.
It's kind of interesting that you just went after a topic that everybody should be talking about. I mean, it's been pretty obvious that, radicalized Muslims are a dangerous breed of people in our society.
Yeah. No, I mean, this doesn't show that all Muslims or most Muslims or, even a huge percentage of them are this dangerous in this way. But, there is something going on there in terms of the percentage. And, it's interesting just to see news stories not mentioning kind of the religious views of the individuals. A lot of prominent news outlets seem to have left that out. Whether you had the bombings attempts in New York City recently or other places. But clearly in the last month, just in March, we've had a number of cases where Muslims have been involved in the attack. But we wanted to go and just kind of look at the data over a long period of time, even before the recent cases. And, we already had this data together for mass public shootings. Mass public shootings are attacks that occur in public places, not part of some other type of crime like a robbery or a gang fight over drug turf. Anything from one person being shot at and missed all the way up to a mass public shooting is 4 more people killed in the attack. We've also looked at active shooting cases too, and you get a similar type of imbalance there too.
It seems to me that people don't want to talk about the whole thing about the problem with people of the Muslim religion because, it's a religion that doesn't play well with others. I mean, even their religious book, the Quran, says that if you're an unbeliever, you're their enemy.
Right. Well, look, I'm not going to try to get into kind of why people don't want to cover this type of stuff. It's kind of speculative, but all I could point out are two things. One is it's kind of, and I try to do this in the piece, it's interesting the number of news articles that kind of leave out this information. And also that you have this disproportionate rate, this huge, there's no other group that you see that is that overrepresented compared to their share of the population. And it's not just something that's occurred in the last year or two. It's not just something that's occurred since the Iran war has started. This is data that we looked at from 1998 through the end of last year. And so, if people want to go and talk about how do we stop terrorist attacks, what do we do with regard to it, who do we look out for? During the Biden administration, they were making this claim that white supremacists were the big danger out there. And what I also try to point out in the piece is that's simply not accurate. They want to go and say right-wingers are responsible for most of the violence. In fact, the vast majority of these mass public shooters have no ideology, no political ideology. You have about 8% show any type of racism or anti-immigrant beliefs. But what gets ignored is that most of those have the views of environmentalists. And this is one thing that the media is just really horribly biased with regard to. If somebody's racist or anti-immigrant, the media from the New York Times and everybody else automatically classifies them as a right-winger. The problem is that when you actually read the diaries and manifestos, these people don't like minorities because they are upset about people having children, and they think having more children damages the environment, and that they think minorities are having relatively more children than other groups. These are individuals that call themselves environmental extremists. They call themselves socialists. Some of them point to China as their ideal form of government. Maybe I just lead a very isolated life, and the conservatives that I know don't want people having kids and think the Chinese government's kind of the ideal form of government for people to have. But my guess is if you were going to go look at politicians who are upset about people having kids, you're more likely to find somebody like AOC who is concerned about that than you're going to find any conservative politician.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's like they won't even publish some of the shooters' writings because they don't want other people, quote, to get radicalized. And then when some of this stuff does leak out, it leans much more towards, the AOCs and the Omar people in that political sphere than towards MAGA people.
Right. I've talked before. It's not just this. Probably my biggest pet peeve with the media coverage in terms of these mass public shootings is that time after time after time, these mass murderers explicitly explain why they pick the target that they do.
Yep.
And they go after gun-free zones. But you will look in vain, even though you would think that would be newsworthy. You'd think people would care. Why did this person pick the target that he did? But the media just absolutely refuses, even though they cover the diaries and manifestos. So you have something like the Minneapolis school shooter last fall. The media stories will go and say, well, he talked about other mass murderers. He talked about other school shooters. Yeah, he did. But the reason why he talked about them was what he learned from them in terms of going and picking gun-free zones. These people may be crazy in some sense, but they're not stupid. Their goal is to get media coverage, and they know the more people they kill, the more media coverage that they're going to get. And they know if they go to a place where their victims are defenseless, they're going to be able to go and kill more people and get more media coverage. And as I say, though, even though the Minneapolis attacker, not only did he explain that he was picking a school, because Minnesota is one of the states that ban people having guns on school property. Not only was he picking that place because guns were banned there, it was the time of day. He didn't want to go in the morning when the parents were dropping off students at school, or in the afternoon when they're picking them up, because he was worried that one of the parents might have a permitted concealed handgun and might use it to go and stop him. My guess is that the whole gun control debate that we have right now would be dramatically different if even once in a while the media would say we've had yet another mass murderer here who picked a gun-free zone to go and do his attack. And yet on our website at crimeresearch.org, we've collected literally dozens of statements from these mass murderers about them picking gun-free zones to attack.
Yeah, it's known information. It really is. But it's known information that the left doesn't want everybody to be talking about.
And Dr. Lott, I have a question, or maybe a comment, So, here in the West, there's this perception, or not even perception, just my opinion, that these progressive groups, like liberals, they tend to be more critical of like Christianity, but they defend religions like Islam. And, a lot of those same groups will be atheists. I don't know. That's our example. That's my experience here in Little Rock anyways. There's a lot of atheists here, but they'll defend, literally arguing with them, and they're defending these Muslims who are radicalized. And I don't understand how that doesn't match up. You know what I mean? Like, that's really crazy. And is there a way that you can study that? Like, I don't know how you would, but it just makes no sense to me, the hypocrisy of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, to the extent that exists, hypocrisy is probably the right term. Look, you probably need somebody else to go into that on your show, but my guess is there's a lot of concern about so-called victimized groups, people on the left, kind of separate people into victimizers and victims. And for some reason, they've classified Muslims, Palestinians, what have you, as part of the victimized group that's there. They'll classify Israelis or Christians as the oppressor groups. I don't know how people legitimately classify them in those types of groups like that, looking at people in such broad groups. But my guess is that has something to do with it.
All right, Dr. Lott, I'm going to take a break and pay some bills, because I don't want to end up like Cuba and not have any power. So let me take Let me take a break, and then we'll be back and finish up our conversation. Dr. John Lott is with us. You've heard him on my show many a time talking about, concealed handguns and how they stop crime and things of that nature. And I always have him on to talk about that kind of stuff. Today it's different. He had an article on X, and you can find it on X, that talks about this, that percentage-wise, in the overall percentage of Muslims that are here in the nation, it's a higher percentage that are, I guess, violent than other shooters, other shooters in mass shootings. We'll come back, finish up our information with him for you here on the Dave Ellswick Show, 20 minutes after 9 on a Wednesday. It's Hump Day, middle of the weekday, over the hill day. We're closer to Friday than we were on Monday, and we'll be back in just a moment.
This is 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Start your day with Dave Ellswick in the morning, breaking down the stories shaping Arkansas and the nation and hearing what you have to say. Then in the afternoon, join Doc Washburn as he takes on the biggest headlines, asks the tough questions, and opens the phones for real conversation. Because on 101.1, The Answer, talk radio means your voice matters. Call in, sound off, be a part of the discussion at 501-401-1011. Plus, hear from some of the biggest names in talk radio. CNN's Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, Larry Elder, bringing you smart analysis, strong opinions, and the debate everyone's talking about. Local voices, national perspective, and your chance to be heard. 501-401-1011. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Hugh Hewitt is pleased with the progress.
Can you imagine? And I'm sure the Iranian Navy was proud of the Iranian Navy. It's all sunk. All of it. Can you imagine what they think about this regime getting into this stupid war because the stupid mullahs wouldn't give up their uranium? They had all these wonderful ships they practiced all these years. They made all that propaganda of it. They're all sunk.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Secular at 3 on 101.1. The Answer. You can watch the show right now. The Dave Ellswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1. The Answer.
All right, back with you. Our special guest here for the rest of this half hour is Dr. John Lott. He'll be with us until the 9:30 break, and then I'll pick it up and bring it up to 10 o'clock. And then 10 o'clock from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, political cartoonist John Deering will join me. And John, known for a lot of other things besides political cartoons, the strip Zach that he does. And he does Strange Brew, which is kind of a takeoff on what Gary Larson used to do in his cartoons. So it's always fun talking to John. John, I don't know if you knew this or not, Val. He, you remember the T-shirt for the Dave Ellswick Show that had me up on the building holding a microphone over Little Rock? He's the one who drew that. And he did that personally for the show. And he's a good guy. We'll talk to him and see what he's got to say. It's about 25 minutes after 9. Let's get back to Dr. Lott and talk more about this. Let me just quote you from your article here from X, and it says, in March alone, we saw multiple terrorist attacks carried out by Muslims. In Austin, a terrorist wore a sweatshirt reading "Property of Allah" during an attack. In New York City, bomb throwers shouted "Allah Akbar" while throwing a homemade shrapnel bomb. At Old Dominion University, this happened just recently, a shooter also yelled "Allah Akbar" and had previously been convicted of supporting ISIS, which is another, terrorist group. Another person went out and had an attack as well. They found out his brother was a Hezbollah terrorist commander. It just seems like to me that the facts are overwhelming that these terrorists that are Muslim are dangerous, and it gives you. I know we don't like to talk about profiling, but it seems like to me if not all Muslims are terrorists, but a lot of these terrorists are Muslim, and we got to kind of look at it that way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of things that one might link to the Iran war that's going on. But our point was to look at the data even well before that. As I said, we looked at all the mass public shootings in the United States from 1998 through 2025, through the end of last year. And, well before the Iran war got started. And, it's very clear. I mean, they're 18 times their share of the population. There's no other group that you can find anything even remotely similar to. With regard to profiling, I mean, it's something police do. It's what the FBI does in order to help narrow the possible range of suspects that are there. That doesn't mean just because somebody has that characteristic that they're automatically involved, as I try to make clear earlier in our discussion. But it's still something that you want to take into account. And, people probably know in Little Rock there's some areas of town that are more dangerous than other parts of town. In some sense, that's profiling that's going on. It doesn't mean that if you go to that part of town that you're for sure going to end up being harmed in some way, but it's something to keep in mind when you decide to go to that part of town.
Sometimes it's called staying alive in Little Rock. But I do have a question for you, Dr. Lott. So I am curious if you have looked at the crime numbers in like DC and some of these other places where President Trump sent in the National Guard to clean them up. And like, if you have, what does your data say?
Right. No, I've written about that in the past. Obviously you have Washington, D.C. and Memphis, where Trump kind of did the full effort there in terms of federalizing law enforcement. But they've done it to smaller extents in every place from Portland to Chicago. And there have been huge changes in crime rates. In Washington, D.C., during the first month of this year, I think you had 3 murders that occurred in January. Last year, when they were kind of doing the full kind of push there, you had 18 days in a row without a murder. The probability of something like that happen is like 1 in 10,000 or something. Based on the murder rates that were occurring in the months immediately prior to them doing that. And so, it's pretty clear that you've had huge changes that have occurred there. And things like auto theft or, while people are in the car, carjackings, it's down by like 85%.
Yeah.
This isn't rocket science. If you want to reduce crime, you have to make it riskier for criminals to commit crime with things like higher arrest rates, higher conviction rates, longer prison sentences, also making it so that individuals are able to go and defend themselves. That also makes it riskier. And with regard to D.C., Trump basically did all those things. Judge Jean Pirro, who's the U.S. attorney in D.C., since it's a federal enclave, the U.S. attorney is kind of the equivalent of an attorney general in most states. She's responsible for prosecuting all crimes by adults. And, she, compare that to the U.S. attorney under Biden. During 2022, the U.S. attorney under Biden refused to prosecute about 2/3 of the arrests that were brought by police. In 2023, he was refusing to prosecute about 56% of the arrests by police. Hero is obviously much, much more aggressive, and she's fighting for longer prison sentences for people. And, of course, federalizing the law enforcement, putting FBI agents and drug enforcement agents and ATF agents on the ground there to go and arrest people, increased the arrest rate that was there. So all those things matter.
All right, Dr. John Lott, we're out of time. If people want to read this article and other things that you've written, where would they go?
They go to our website at crimeresearch.org, crimeresearch.org.
All right. We'll send them over there, and we appreciate your time today. Look forward to having you on in the future.
Thank you very much. Great talking to you again.
All right. Bye-bye now. Dr. John Lott, let's join the news that's already in process.
Make your next move. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, equal housing lender, NMLS number 819382.
Something big is happening, and you need to be in the know. Operation Epic Fury is here, and the only place to get all the details. Stay tuned and listen closely for updates on Operation Epic Fury on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Chris DeGaulle believes what he sees.
I can't say, gee, I don't want an impact on oil prices for 3 to 4 weeks, 2 months, and let Iran have a nuclear weapon and let them blow up the Middle East and beyond. I have to do what's right. I believe him. I think he's that consequential. History will be the judge, but I believe him when he says I had to do what was right.
The Chris DeGaulle Show, weekday mornings at 6, right before Dave Ellswick at 7 on 101.1 The Answer. If things don't change, can you imagine America in 20 years? Scary thought, isn't it? The good news is we have the power to take our nation back. Stay right here for all the information you need. 101.1 The Answer. Dave Ellswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1 The Answer.
Well, the success of the United States and Israel in targeting the key leadership of Iran is making military analysts rethink their war strategy. Is Iran losing its will to fight, is what they're asking. In addition to the 3 stories that were reported today, looking at Israel going in and killing commanders and things of that nature. In the early days of the war, Iran has lost the supreme leader, Minister of Defense, Military Bureau of the Supreme Leader, Head of Espionage, Chief of the General Staff of the Iranian Army, Commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Head of Supply Department for the Iranian military, Head of Intelligence Directorate, Head of Supply, Logistics and Industrial Research, the Head of Operations and Planning of the Iranian military, and the list should go on. John Spencer of the Urban Warfare Institute said this: incredible, first in war, challenging elements of military theory on how will is attacked, a war waged. It challenges some military theory of how to attack the will of the enemy that isn't possible or wasn't possible in the past. And that's from Robert Spector. Also, there is a real question about how much of the will to fight remains for the Iranians. The effectiveness of the campaign thus far is not just the smart weapons and the precise targeting. It's the deep penetration of the enemy via extraordinary intelligence. At this point in the war, we also have the cooperation and the help of a populace who would like to wake up soon one day for a free Iran. All right, so that's important things that you need to keep in mind. And the Iranian president, I don't know if you heard about this or not. I think it's Pezeshkiani, I think is how you pronounce it.
You're like me. I cannot pronounce it. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
It's just messed up that the people like Walter Cronkite, they didn't have to try to pronounce these stupid names.
Yeah, the Iranian president wants to resign. Did you see this story? He wants to quit
already,
but there's no one to whom he can submit his resignation.
He can to Trump.
Yeah, perhaps he doesn't want to go meet all his terrorist colleagues, 72 virgins or whatever. Israel Channel 14 is reporting that Iran's president wants to resign. They reported that the president intended to submit his resignation to the supreme leader today following the elimination of Ali Lajanani. However, he was informed by the IRGC that a meeting with the Khomeini now is currently not possible. The obvious question is there really a new Ayatollah with all his faculties to whom he could resign? Well, that would be like being caught between a rock and a hard place. It'd be like, I want to retire, but Biden's president. I probably can't do that. The obvious question about that is that particular thing. Who does he report to? As soon as they announce somebody as some major mover and shaker amongst the Iranian regime, they end up pushing up daisies or pushing up fields of daisies because they're spread out over the whole field after they're blown up. This guy is reportedly exceptionally angry at the Revolutionary Guards, accusing them of reckless conduct. He claims the failure to protect, Ali Lajanani was not negligence, but a deliberate move to ensure his elimination. The IRGC is reportedly very pleased with this guy's death, having already prepared an elimination dossier on him and his brother. So here's the bottom line. Iran is transitioning into an extremist military regime where the son of the, grand leader, the supreme leader, was in charge of, and then his son now is the super grand leader. They just kind of passed down the Fred Flintstone Royal Order of the Moose hat down to the next guy. He acts as a mere puppet of the Revolutionary Guards who completely controlled the country now. And he was elected president, by the way, in 2024. And being president is kind of like being the king of England. You don't have any power. None whatsoever. And even though this guy doesn't have any power, he wants to get out of the bullseye. He wants to get away, and he believes that the Iranian National Guard is getting these guys killed just so they're the only guys that are left. So we'll probably need to turn up the heat on the Iranian Guard, get rid of those dudes and be done with them. I told you that, the folks that are over here that were against the war initially are now warming to it because they're seeing what Trump and the Israelis have been doing of decimating the regime and their weaponry. I mean, you're getting both of them. They're doing both of them. In fact, because they killed the guy that was, running the secret police there in Iran, the people came out on the streets last night and were dancing in the streets. Now, don't ask me. I don't know if they had Martin Vangelis playing, singing it or what, but they were dancing in the street because the Trump administration,
because they can now.
They're making so these people can get out. Well, they couldn't leave their houses.
Yeah, they couldn't dance in the street though forever.
You have to stay inside. Well, that's what happens when a serious religious regime takes over a country. I mean, take a look at Afghanistan. I mean, they were a free people while we were over there. Kids were going to school. little girls were going to school. They're not doing that now. They don't get up, maybe put a pair of Western jeans on and head out to have fun at a rave party or something. That's not what they do. Now they put their hijab on and cover their bodies from head to toe the way they're told by the Taliban. By the way, where's now about that? Talking about that. They don't say a word about that. And then last but not least here, Trump has created an anti-fraud task force. Guess who's in charge? J.D. Vance. He's in charge. And let me tell you, he'll do his job, unlike, the vice president last time who was put in charge of the border and never went to the border except one time. And it was a place where they had a nice building that she could get coffee whenever she wanted it or a smoothie or whatever. She wasn't out along the fence line talking to the rank and file. Trump signed the executive order Monday to combat what the administration calls, quote, the greatest theft of taxpayer dollars in American history. From the order, here's what it said. My administration will use all available resources and authorities to fight fraud, close loopholes, enforce eligibility rules, and protect benefits for eligible Americans while ensuring states administering federal benefits programs do the same. Last month, Trump announced the formation of a new division at the DOJ to fight fraud. And then Trump said this, we intend to imprison any fraudster, politician, or public official involved in these sick plots to lost and pillage and to loot our country. So guess where J.D. Vance is going first? I'll give you three guesses. First two don't count. Go ahead. Where do you think he's going to, Val?
Fraud, California.
See, it was an easy question.
I didn't even read the article either.
Yeah.
California.
It is
then
California.
New York.
That's where he's going. The top three states should be California, New York, Illinois.
Yep.
That's
Pritzker.
Wait.
He needs to eat another donut.
Check it out, man. I'm just saying. They're being serious about this. And there's going to be all kinds of information comes out. These are all cities that have been run by mayors who are Democrats. So we'll see what he turns up. I think that if you turn up any rocks in California, you'll probably find a $20 bill underneath of it. And that's the people's tax-paying money that they're doing. And independent journalist Nick Shirley is at it again. He's the one that identified the Minnesota fraud. He is exposing mountains of California fraud. It comes on the heels of the work of Dr. Oz, the administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and United States Attorney Bill Ashley from in January, according to the New York Post. Dimitri Bolt of Town Hall wrote this. Independent journalist and YouTuber Nick Shirley has been investigating fraud in California following his role in exposing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz last year. His latest investigation focuses on alleged hospice fraud. Yeah, the people that are supposed to be taking care of your relatives who are dying and make them comfortable while they're going through that process has grown by roughly 3% yearly since 2020. So do the math. That's 18%. It's grown. Estimates suggest the fraud could total $3.5 billion yearly in Los Angeles alone. Not the whole state of California, just the city of L.A., the city of angels. Oh, they're not just angels.
They paid for Kamala Harris recently. The Arkansas state trooper, I'm sorry, Arkansas, not Arkansas. The California state troopers were she was using them when she was traveling around for her little book tour Like for April, she canceled some shows at the end of March here, or some March shows in California because there was she's traveling around making all this money, charging like $200 for speaking at these big coliseums, and the taxpayers of California are footing the bill for the state troopers to protect her.
Yeah.
And so that was a big ordeal. So she canceled those. And, while she was running in her campaign for president, the California state troopers also footed the bill where the taxpayers were also traveling around the state on her campaign stops and paying for her.
Here's Shirley. Let's go back and see what Shirley's doing.
Shirley.
He is. Yeah, don't call me Shirley.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, roughly 10 to 15% of Medicare hospice spending is driven in part by sham enrollments. Shirley estimates that in his new investigation, he's uncovered over $170 million in fraud. It's alarming how easy it all is to expose. Nick Shirley, both in California and earlier in Minnesota, just started showing up and knocking on doors. The full 40-minute investigation from Shirley is on Nick, N-I-C-K, Shirley, S-H-I-R-L-E-Y. If you go there, you're going to be able to see what he's uncovering. And it's not pretty. If you've just put you ready to go and you're finding out this is going on, it won't make you run to tax preparer to do your taxes, because that's where your taxes are going, evidently. So anyway, that's where we're sitting right now here on the Dave Ellswick Show. I got to go open the door for John Deering so that he can get in, and we'll do that while I take a break here at the station on 101.1 FM, The Answer.
What if you could take 101.1 The Answer with you everywhere? You can. Download the 101.1 The Answer app and stay connected to the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Ellswick. Stay sharp with Doc Washburn. And hear from national voices like Chris DeGaulle, Scott Jennings, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, and Mike Gallagher. Breaking news, bold opinions, local insight, national perspective, all in one place, all in your pocket, at work, in the car, on the go. If it matters to Arkansas and America, you'll hear it on 101.1 The Answer. Plus, stream us live anywhere. Catch up on podcasts and never miss a moment. Search 101.1 The Answer in your app store and download it today. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. This is 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Start your morning with a voice you know and trust. Dave Ellswick, bringing you the issues that matter to Arkansas, the news behind the headlines, and conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Then in the afternoon, stay informed and fired up with Doc Washburn, breaking down the biggest stories of the day and what they mean for you. And all day long, hear from some of the biggest voices in talk radio. CNN's Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and Larry Elder, bringing you sharp insight, lively debate, and the perspective you've been looking for. News, opinion, insight, and the conversations shaping our community. From Little Rock to the natural state and beyond. This is 101.1 The Answer. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Here at 101.1 The Answer, we've got a brand new studio phone number that makes it easier for you to connect with us. Whether you want to talk to Dave Ellswick, Doc Washburn, or any of our other local hosts, it's now easier than ever to let us know your thoughts. Just call 501-401-1011. 501-401-1011. One more time, 501-401-1011.
Now, back to the Dave Ellswick Show. 101.1. The Answer.
All right, back with you, Dave Ellswick Show, right here in the studio over on right off Rodney Parham. We're across the street from Homer's. If you know where that's at, we're kind of kitty corner to them. We're in that really nice building next to Party Time. And on the second floor, I got bulletproof glass.
I was going to say, you trying to...
No, we got bulletproof glass.
He's teasing him, antagonizing him.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking at my picture on the earring. Good grief. I'm thinking maybe I should have a makeup artist. I don't make Dave to look like something else.
We could get definitely get you a big well, we just turned the light on.
I did turn
the light was you were sitting in the dark the whole time.
And look at the top of my head. It's like glowing. It looks like there's a half moon in the sky now. That's my head. Sorry. I apologize for it. All right. A good friend of the program has just, I don't know if he got lost, and he saw the beacon that we put up for people to come on the air, but he showed up. John Deering's here from the Democratic Gazette. Always a pleasure to have you, John.
Hey,
thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me back on. It's like that Norm Macdonald joke.
Yeah.
The light was on.
Yeah.
The moth joke.
I got you.
For some reason, his mic is not. That's weird.
But his mic is not responding?
Mm-mm.
Do you need him to move around? Do we want to move him around?
I can scoot over here.
He's on the end.
Yeah, try the different one. Let's see. Sorry about that.
Move next to you there. Well, one of these mics happens. If the other ones don't work, I'll just have you sit next to me. No, I'm just kidding.
Try that one.
All right. Here he goes. So he's on his way over. Got to get himself comfortable. Let's see if. Yeah, I see it's on now. So let's see if you're there. I already can tell you're there because I can hear you moving the microphone.
I can hear that one.
All right. There we go. He's back. All right.
Better. I
was just talking about President Trump put J.D. Vance in charge of solid waste and abuse. And I'll do the same thing that I did to Val. I'll give you 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count. What state do you think he's going to first?
Minnesota.
No. They already got Minnesota. Who's the next one?
Michigan.
Well, it could be, but it's going to be California.
Of course. Yeah. What do you know?
Of course. The way that you said that tells me you think about California the same way I do. It's a money pit. It really is just a freaking money pit. All right, so let me find here.
With so many people, companies leaving California to go to Texas and elsewhere, it tells you something.
Yeah, I guess it does, except that in Texas, they'll arrest you for doing it. In California, Newsom says, nice job.
Right.
You got a piece of the pie. Good for you. All right, so let's look. Trump going after anti-fraud and everything else. And he put J.D. Vance in charge of the task force. And this article about Nick Shirley. Shirley is the journalist that exposed what was going on in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. He has been doing a little looking himself. And he said that he has found, just in a short period he's been looking, he estimates that in his new investigation, he's already uncovered over $170 million in fraud. And this deals with, are you ready for this? Hospices.
Of course. Yeah. I think that unfortunately is sad as it is. I think that's low hanging fruit.
Well, I agree.
Hospices, nursing homes, I think that's a perpetual problem.
Yeah, well, they just pour money into it left and right. Yeah. The government does. If you want to get something robbed quickly, let the government run it.
That's right.
Because people get a reason to get money from them. In fact, that $170 million was Los Angeles alone.
170 million.
Yeah.
And over how many hospice facilities.
They didn't get into that specific. We got to try to get Shirley on and talk to him about all of this. They said that in Los Angeles alone, roughly 10 to 15% of the, it's here somewhere. My phone is deciding that it wants to go all different places on me. Here we go. I'm back to where I started at. All right. Let me get back to my story again about this fraud and abuse that's going on. 10 to 15% of the alleged hospices are fraudulently claiming people on their rolls. His latest investigation, Shirley, focuses on alleged hospice fraud as California's senior population has grown by roughly 3% a year since 2020. That means, of course, and that's 6 years, that's 18%. The elderly population has grown in that time. While the number of hospice providers in Los Angeles has surged by 1,500% since 2010. Estimates suggest all this fraud could total $3.5 billion a year in Los Angeles alone. That's roughly 10 to 15% of Medicare hospice spending, driven in part by sham enrollments. Shirley estimates just in his investigation in LA, he's found $170 million in fraud. It's alarming how easy it all is to expose. Nick Shirley, both in California and earlier in Minnesota, just started showing up and started knocking on doors. And the full 40-minute investigation that he did is on his website, Nick Shirley, if you want to check it out.
Thanks. There have been even closer to home Medicare fraud investigations and some serious problems with, and I'm not going to mention any specific facilities, of course, but double billing.
Oh yeah.
Let's say there is more than one physician on a case. One doctor will tell the other, "You come in with me. We'll both bill for this." And I think that's very common. So, of course, it's going to extend to nursing homes and hospice care facilities, too.
And let's be honest about it. This money is your tax money.
Yeah.
People are stealing from your wallet. That's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Try to make it as easy as pie to figure it out. We'll talk more about this with John here on the Dave Ellswick Show. And I'm glad that they're getting in and starting digging in and figuring this out. We don't need to find a star out there, the welfare queen. Everybody remembers the star. And no, she's on our side now. She works for the government, finding the schemes that they're doing. Let's hear the news at the top of the hour. Then John Deering and I will be back for the final hour of the show. That's coming up here on the Dave Ellswick Show.
Find us at 1011FM, theanswer.com. Download our app, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Homeland Security Secretary nominee Senator Mark Wayne Mullen is being grilled this morning by the Senate Homeland Security Committee, also on Capitol Hill. National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard.
Gabbard is expected to be peppered with questions surrounding the Iran operation and her own view of the intelligence leading up to President Trump's decision to attack Iran when she appears alongside other officials before the Senate Intelligence Committee today. The hearing is the first of two on Capitol Hill this week, featuring Gabbard, FBI Director Kash Patel, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe. with the intelligence officials set to testify before the House Intelligence Panel on Thursday as part of Congress's regular oversight of the executive branch. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Thanks to Republicans, the Save America Act requiring ID and proof of citizenship to vote continues working its way through the Senate. Israel says it has killed another top Iranian official, which would be the third in 2 days. Israel's defense minister says the Iranian intelligence chief is dead. Well, some might say it's too early for this, but if you like it hot, the West is the place to be.
Cities like Phoenix and Las Vegas are accustomed to triple-digit temperatures, but not in mid-March. And in San Francisco...
Yeah, usually it's not this warm in March, so this is kind of a nice surprise.
Excuse Jessica Ling for just wanting to soak in the warm, sunny weather at Crissy Field Beach in the Presidio.
Yeah, this is very enjoyable.
Thomas Jamar is visiting from Texas.
I've been out here before, and it'd be like so cold, I gotta have a sweater on.
Justice Ruiz was walking a small pack of dogs.
Like, we go to the beach every day, and this is perfect weather.
I'm Ben Thomas.
Wholesale inflation staged a comeback last month. Producer prices rose 3.4%. from 1 year ago. Stocks in the red on Wall Street this morning. The Dow down 378 points. NASDAQ is off 109. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Have you noticed losing weight is harder than it used to be? You're eating better and exercising, but the scale barely moves? The real problem isn't willpower, it's metabolic dysfunction. And standard dieting just makes it worse. PhD Weight Loss has helped thousands fix the root cause of stubborn weight. Take their free metabolic assessment at fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. It's quick, personalized, and shows why your body is resisting weight loss so you know exactly what to fix. Visit fixmyweightloss.com. That's fixmyweightloss.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this. Christian Healthcare Ministries is a health insurance alternative at half the cost. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Iran is facing pushback over its attempt to have its World Cup matches relocated from the United States.
Iran's embassy in Mexico has suggested the country is negotiating with FIFA to move Iran's World Cup matches from the U.S. to Mexico. That's after President Donald Trump discouraged the team from attending the tournament, citing safety concerns. FIFA says it is in regular contact with the Iran Soccer Federation, and it is not changing the match schedule announced last December. Iranian officials have previously said it is up to FIFA and the U.S. to keep the team safe during the World Cup. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is seeking support from UK Prime Minister Starmer in his country's fight against Russia's invasion. The talks between the two leaders in London come as the Iran war revives Russia's economy through increased oil revenue and could soon limit Kiev's access to vital Western air defense systems. News and analysis, townhall.com. The mystery of a startling explosion and light in the sky has been solved.
A 7-ton meteor that sped across the Cleveland sky at 45,000 miles per hour on Tuesday broke apart in a thunderous boom that startled residents who feared an explosion. People several states away reported seeing the bright fireball, even though it was 9 a.m. The American Meteor Society said it received reports from Wisconsin to Maryland. NASA later confirmed that it was a meteor nearly 6 feet in diameter. The meteor was first seen about 50 miles above Lake Erie. Keith Peters, Washington.
A Republican-led House committee has subpoenaed Attorney General Pam Bondi. Panel members want her to answer questions about the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, as well as file.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
All right, final hour, Dave Ellswick Show. What a best way to end a show today when we bring John Deering in to join us here on the Dave Ellswick Show. John is the political cartoonist for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. He also does Zach, and he does Strange Brew.
Yeah,
so
have a lot of fun with it.
I mean, I just got to say, I'll be honest with you, I've always knew that John Deering was a little bit off-center. And when you look at Strange Brew, he is always off center on that panel that you do. That's got to be hard to do. I mean, Gary Larson got to the point he didn't want to do what he did anymore because he got up in the morning, poured a cup of coffee, and then he had to come up with an idea for that panel.
That's always the challenge is the blank piece of paper in front of you. And sometimes that leads to some real strangeness. You start tying really weird stuff together and what if my coffee cup could talk? And you just never know where it's going to go.
I liked what he said. He had a panel, and I'm going to get it as a poster. I really am. And it said why the dinosaurs really went extinct, and it was a dinosaur behind a tree smoking a cigarette. I love that cartoon. That is just a funny cartoon. Funny guy. But you're a funny guy.
It's a job, it's a job for the winter.
Yeah, but I like that you're not afraid to show your kind of offside of humor.
I had, and coming in 20 years after someone great like Gary Larson, seems presumptuous, but I had similar interests like natural science. Still love to draw dinosaurs. I like to bring pop culture in, like having Popeye at a 12-step addiction for spinach, things like that.
That's good. And Gary Larson had another one that the guy was sitting at the table finishing up his dinner, and he's talking to his wife who's in front of the plate glass window to their living room, and there's a big eye looking in, and he says, Madge, our neighbors are not spying on us. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff.
Thing with the neighbors and anthropomorphizing animals. I was just looking through some of my previous stuff the other day, and I had some deer, in their living room. And she's wearing cat eye glasses and sipping a cup of tea, whatever deers drink. He's looking out the window and he's saying, well, here we go. The new neighbors moved in and they've got a pickup truck with a gun rack.
So we'll stay indoors.
Yeah.
We'll stick it out. I got the weirdest water bill a couple of months ago. The people who owned my home before I bought it planted a bunch of what's those flowers called? They don't look like a flower. It's got a thing on the top, and then the petals lay over kind of down. And some people like them. I don't care for them.
Begonias?
No, not begonia.
Lilies.
Anyway, I found out it was a bulb that you had to plant. Mm-hmm. And they must have planted up at the top of by my driveway. They must have put about 200 bulbs around the tree. And then down at the bottom of my yard on the right side, they must have put the rest of the other 500 bags of bulbs that they had. Irises, that's what it was, irises.
Yeah.
All right. And I got this letter from the water company, or the electric company, was saying, we want to make sure that your bill is correct, but your flowers are in our way. Now, you can either cut it back or we'll cut it back, but somebody's got to cut it back. And I just wrote back to them. I said, have at it. And they took a bunch of flowers out. They just dug them up. When I started digging them up, neighbors stand in line for me to give them like 10 or 15 bulbs.
Oh, that's good.
But they split, bulbs split and make more bulbs, and they make more flowers. And there'll be irises there thousands of years into the future.
So you actually carefully dug them. You weren't like Bill Murray out there.
No, I did.
9-iron whacking off the
Yeah, I did the Caddyshack on them. I went out with an electric chainsaw and cut the top off of them. All right. But they just grow back.
Yeah.
They just grow back. You got to dig them up, literally.
Yeah.
And so I tried that 1 year. And like I said, people were stopping by and they wanted the bulbs. And I kept thinking that, oh, my God, it's going to be like bamboo. Everybody's going to plant these and irises are going to take over the whole neighborhood. But it didn't happen. But I know some of the people that took bulbs and they got a bunch of irises around their house now.
That's nice.
So that's good for them. They like them.
Beautify the neighborhood.
Well, I just didn't understand. Look, the people had a purple iris that was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other iris that was there had kind of a black and brown color scheme. And I'm thinking, why not red? Why not yellow? Something that you kind of would like to see. No, brown and black and just ugly.
To each their own.
Yeah, I guess, except that now it's mine, even though I didn't want them. I'm living with them. But yeah, they've come out of the ground again now. And, they bloom for about 2 weeks. And then the blooms go away, and all you got is this plant sticking up that's green. That's it. Just green stalk and doing its thing.
We, my wife and I recently dug up some spiderwort and planted it, and hopefully it'll, make it past whatever cold weather is left. But some people don't know that spiderwort is native and just grows wild in Arkansas. It's got a really nice dark blue flower.
Oh, really?
It's really pretty, yeah. But the roots go really deep, so they're pretty hardy.
So you got to dig deep to dig them out?
Yeah. If you're going to get the whole root and expect it to live, yeah.
And you got to get a lot of the root to transplant it.
Yeah.
And if you leave a little bit of the root behind, will it grow a new plant?
It will. It if you take care of it, it's
the things we do as homeowners.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of bamboo, like misguided idea. Well, I'll plant a little bamboo in the backyard.
No,
I've made that mistake.
You never plant. Well, you might plant a little, but you end up with a lot.
I love bamboo. I don't know why people hate it. It's a nice fence.
If it would just stop when you want it to.
I don't want it.
But it has a mind of its own.
I love it.
And it grows under the ground before it comes out of the ground.
My next door neighbor in Florida has bamboo, and it's like beautiful. It's like huge. I love it. It's gorgeous.
I bet you it wasn't like the bamboo that I would walk through when I was on Guam.
Well, I bet it wasn't either.
It was the bamboo I saw. Stalks were like this big around.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Huge.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like
That's what they make bamboo flooring out of, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the big stuff.
Well, they make bamboo sheeting and all kinds of stuff out of it now. It's a big business. Somebody took George Washington at his word and just started planting a plant that he knew could be, harvested.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Washington grew hemp, it wasn't marijuana. Everybody says, "Hey, yes, they use a pot." No, that's not. It was hemp. They made rope and things out of it back in the Revolutionary days.
My great grandfather in Texas, the Texas Hill Country, grew Jimson weed for therapeutic reasons. That was, I think, in the early 1900s. He had asthma, supposedly.
Okay.
Nod, wink. I don't know what Jimson weed does, honestly.
Okay.
I guess it has its uses, but
he's telling us. You say your grandfather?
My great grandfather.
Oh, your great grandfather. Okay, so do a lot of history looking, and you can find it. By the way, just so when you turn on the stream today, my guest that's on right now is not Ryan Norris.
Is it on there? I changed that.
Yeah, it's
whoops. Let me fix it.
It's Ryan Norris, AFP.
That says John Daring on my side.
Yeah. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Oh, there, you got rid of it. There you go.
Maybe that's what I had to do. I changed it and I didn't hit click. Sorry about that.
We try to make it as easy as we can for folks now. You go to when you bring up the show before we start, and now there's a crawl at the bottom, and it says who my guests are going to be during the show and at what time, so that if you didn't want to hear John, for instance, which I can't believe you wouldn't.
I could understand that.
You'd know that he's going to be on today at 10 o'clock. And then we had, Hill, and we had Westerman, and we had Crawford, and we had Dr. John Lott on just a few minutes ago. That was a very interesting discussion that we had with him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was I didn't ask him about the political incorrectness of showing that Muslims percentage-wise are higher mass shooters than any other group of people. And we got him on to talk about it today because he wrote an article for X about it. And, when you start talking about that type of stuff, you're walking, which I like to call, on not eggshells, but on landmines.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to take it wrong. There's no doubt about that.
Somebody's going to take it wrong.
Yeah.
And
doesn't matter if it's factual or not. They don't feel good about it.
Well, and commentary and satire in general over the last 25, 30 years has gotten a lot more tenuous, and people feel more reined in, especially just comedy. Now, I think some of that is breaking loose because people became more aware of the infringement on free speech.
Oh, yeah.
And some comics started speaking out, deliberately about that. But political give and take, all of it, sometimes you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Because I think part of it, if you're trying to be responsible, you want to communicate in a way that's not going to unnecessarily offend people, and you can still try to get your message across, which is not always easy to do.
Right.
My late editor, Paul Greenberg, had a saying that I really liked, and that was, we can only take responsibility for what we write, not for what you read.
Yeah, or what you read into what we write.
Or what you read into what we write.
Yeah, that's true. That really is true. Or, it's like people when they listen to music, they hear a song and they think, the Beatles were talking about, well, let's do an easy one. Puff the Magic Dragon by Peter, Paul, and Mary. People started saying that was all about drugs, and it had nothing to do with drugs. It was about a kid's story and
his dragon.
Yeah. And they lived in his imagination.
And sometimes I think some artists may try to backward engineer their own story to try to make themselves more relevant. Like maybe Paul Stuckey at one point had an interview and he said, "Oh yeah, that was about pot." I don't know if that's the fact, but I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, well, Stuckey, interesting character because he was a viable Christian speaker and stuff, and he wrote a couple of songs that are still today used at a lot of weddings. Mm-hmm. About what is love and things of that nature. They were a great group. We
used that at our wedding in '75.
Did you really?
Yeah.
See, Isn't that interesting? That's why I get along with Deering, is because he and I think a lot.
Well, funny story about it. Maybe I'm telling tales out of school here, but if you got a minute,
yeah,
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
So, my brother is a professional musician.
Okay.
So he was the best man at my wedding. We're outside waiting to go in to the sanctuary at Holy Souls. And the young lady who was going to sing that was not available. So a much older lady filled in for her, and she sort of sounded like Mrs. Puff on SpongeBob. So she's into the first few bars of it, and my brother looks at me and he just kind of shakes his head. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, well, it was memorable.
Yeah, it was a version of the song.
Yeah. You got pictures of her still?
No.
Did you burn them?
They're in an album somewhere, probably.
Oh, okay. But you're like me. I just look at a few pictures from time to time. There's a picture with me and my fraternity brothers standing in front of our house when I was in college. I still have that one because people don't believe that I used to look the way I did when I was in college.
It's good to have that proof.
Yeah. They didn't know that I had hair down to my shoulders and I wore John Lennon glasses and stuff like that. Didn't believe in Lennon, still don't believe in what a lot of the things that he got into. But yeah, but I would wear a shirt and a pullover sweater with it. That was the big thing back in 1971, long time ago.
I used to wear a headband back when I had more hair. As
You're enjoying this, aren't you, Val?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's take a break. We'll come back. John Deering is my special guest. We'll be back with him here on the Dave Ellswick Show.
1.1, The Answer, weather.
It will be a bit warmer today, high of 68, but it's still going to feel cooler than that with the wind chill. 42 tonight, then sunshine and 79 for tomorrow.
Your beloved dog and a stranger are both drowning. You can only save one. Who do you save? Every time Dennis Prager asks that question, his audience splits three ways. 1/3 chooses the dog, 1/3 chooses the stranger, and 1/3 aren't sure. Why? Because we live in an age where increasingly feelings define right and wrong. But if morality is based on emotion, then murder, rape, and theft are just opinions. And if people feel justified, why is rioting or destruction wrong at all? In his new book, If There Is No God, Dennis Prager explains why civilizations cannot survive without objective morality and why Judeo-Christian values shape the moral foundations of the free world.
If you claim that certain things are good, certain things are evil, independent of how you feel about it, you are, in effect, affirming God.
If There Is No God by Dennis Prager. Available now at PragerStore.com. That's PragerStore.com.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Town Hall News, where conservative voices cut through the noise from breaking headlines to fearless opinion. We report what matters without apology. Written by people who actually believe what you believe. Town Hall tells the stories the corporate press buries, from President Trump to Capitol Hill, from pivotal elections to your everyday lives. Join the movement at townhall.com. Real stories, real reporters, real conservative media.
There's a real battle going on, not only for our future, but that of our children and grandchildren. How do we ensure they have it better than we do? One way is to keep listening to us. We're your information source in the battle. 101.1, The Answer. The Dave Ellswick Show is back. 101.1, The Answer.
All those guys. Okay, back with you. John and I just talking a little bit about our history. So, did you want, when you went into the Demgas, or at that time, I think you said it was just the Gazette, right?
Just the Democrat.
The Democrat,
yeah.
Okay. And were you wanting to be a political cartoonist? Is that what you're wanting to be?
I was, and when I was a fine arts major in college, and I saw that there was an opening there. I knew a couple of people there who were working in editorial, like Jeff Wagner, people like that. Met up with Jeff. He said, the guys up in the art department are entrenched. There's no openings up there. But I did get a job in advertising doing layout and paste up. That was back in 1981. And that was when we would get the sheets, the plastic photo sheets, run them through a waxer, put wax on the back, cut up everything with an X-Acto knife, stick it on. Yeah. I love that to this day. I thought that was a really cool process. And of course, when pagination came in the early 90s, like, 90, 91, a lot of that started to go away. But that's where I started out. And you'd get a packet from like Dillard's or Safeway, Kroger, whatever. And they would have just a really rough sketch layout of where everything should go for their advertising. Dick Browning was the national ad salesman for us, good friend. And so he kind of started me out with all that, and he started giving me all the Safeway stuff to lay out.
Okay.
It was a fun job, work nights, Sundays. When a job opening came up in the art department, I applied for that, and John Kennedy was the main political cartoonist at that time. That was Jon Kennedy.
Okay.
Very old school, kind of a grandmaster sort of artist. And if you did something wrong, he'd certainly let you know. So he was really good to learn under. George Fisher was also a mentor and very encouraging. And all of us younger cartoonists, and I'd go over to the Pyramid building where he was and where he had his art studio. All of us younger cartoonists, he called us his chickens. Like chickens have come home to roost.
Right.
Anyway, that was George. Good guy, really talented entertainer. And I felt like I learned a lot from both these guys.
We'll talk further with John Deering after the news. I'm early. I'm sorry. I thought it said 29:55, and it did not. It said 29:05. So I got to go until the 30 mark with John. We'll get back to it. Okay, we'll take it after the break.
I have a caller question for you, John.
Okay.
Well,
go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, John. Is there a place where we can see your work, like a website or Facebook page?
There is. They post my work on Go Comics. That's UClick Universal. It's if you just type in or do a search for GoComics.com or just Go Comics, you'll find it. And they have political cartoons, comic strips, all listed alphabetically. If you go for my political cartoons, if you go on Go Comics Political A to Z, you'll find my work there.
All right. Thank you for your question. We got to get to news. Here it is on the Dave Ellswick Show.
Neighbors and Israel as well. Senate set the stage for a debate focusing on the Save America Act, the bill requiring ID and proof of citizenship to vote. What will the Federal Reserve do about interest rates? We'll find out later today. Fed policymakers will be wrapping up their latest two-day meeting. They are expected to leave rates right where they are, at least for the time being. Now, on Wall Street this morning, stocks are in the red. The Dow is down 392 points. The Nasdaq Composite Index off more than 100 points. More details, srnnews.com.
Have you noticed losing weight is harder than it used to be? You're eating better and exercising, but the scale barely moves? The real problem isn't willpower, it's metabolic dysfunction. And standard dieting just makes it worse. PhD Weight Loss has helped thousands fix the root cause of stubborn weight. Take their free metabolic assessment at fixmyweightloss.com. Fixmyweightloss.com. It's quick, personalized, and shows why your body is resisting weight loss so you know exactly what to fix. Visit fixmyweightloss.com. That's fixmyweightloss.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this. Christian Healthcare Ministries is a health insurance alternative at half the cost. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
She's unafraid and unapologetic. She's Laura Trump, and she's shaking things up on the Right View podcast.
We're the side with the mean stuff? Are you guys kidding? You call us Nazis. You call us fascists. You call Donald Trump Hitler from the left. Really? We're the side that's the problem. You're out assaulting ICE agents every chance you...
Subscribe to the Right View podcast with Laura Trump on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. This is 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Start your day with Dave Ellswick in the morning, breaking down the stories shaping Arkansas and the nation and hearing what you have to say. Then in the afternoon, join Doc Washburn as he takes on the biggest headlines, asks the tough questions, and opens the phones for real conversation. Because on 101.1 The Answer, talk radio means your voice matters. Call in, sound off, be a part of the discussion at 501-401-1011. Plus, hear from some of the biggest names in talk radio. CNN Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, Larry Elder, bringing you smart analysis, strong opinions, and the debate everyone's talking about. Local voices, national perspective, and your chance to be heard. 501-401-1011. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Early detection saves lives. I'm Dr. Gwendolyn Bryant-Smith. At the UAMS Breast Center, we use advanced mammography with same-day results for both screening and diagnostic studies.
I'm Dr. Rhonda Henry Tillman. Understanding breast health is your first step to early detection.
Make yourself a priority and schedule your mammogram.
Call 501-526-6100 and let's paint Arkansas pink.
Sponsored by this station, the Arkansas Broadcasters Association, and UAMS.
The conservative voice of Arkansas, the Dave Ellswick Show on 101.1 The Answer.
All right, 1035, John Deering, the political cartoonist for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. He also does Zach. It's a strip that you see in the Demgaz and other newspapers all across America. And Strange Brew. which is my favorite thing that he does, because I've got that kind of weird sense of humor too, to be honest. So let me ask you, John, where do you let's walk through people for your job. I come in every morning early, and I look at about 6 different websites, and Val will find me in the parking lot here going over my phone different things, looking for items that I want to talk about that I know my listeners are going to be interested in. How about you? I mean, you've got to kind of figure out what your audience is before you draw your cartoons, don't you?
Yes. And I think it sounds like our process is fairly similar, because usually I'll get up about 4 a.m., 4 a.m., and start scrolling through my phone, just looking at aggregator websites like Drudge Report, Smart News, things like that, where you can get a lot of different material. And then from there, it's just sort of distilling it down to what you feel like the best direction to go is for that day. Sometimes it may be something that makes me angry in particular. And I'll start doing some sketches.
We're just a couple of old, mad white men.
Just go outside and shake my fist at the clouds.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and there's coffee involved.
Yeah,
always.
Of course.
But I at some newspapers, and this was the case when I was drawing for USA Today. They want you to submit at least 3 or 4 sketches on different topics. The problem with USA Today was sometimes my strongest cartoon idea would just happen to be about what the lead editorial on the page was, and they didn't want to have a repetition of subject matter. Anyway, I feel fortunate because I do my artwork, submit it. They either accept it or they don't. The occasion when my editor, David Barham, does not accept something is actually pretty rare. And when that happens, he'll call me, or David will call and say, "Hey man, I'm not really comfortable with this, cartoon you've got for whatever reason. I won't go into specifics." And I'll say, "I understand." I don't argue the point with him because he's made his decision.
Right.
I can go on and publish it on another platform, but not for our paper. If he's not comfortable with it, that's that.
He calls the final shot then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you ever had a political cartoon spiked that you thought should have been published?
Well, I mentioned Paul Greenberg earlier. There was I was going to do a takeoff, and this was way back in the 1990s, of a takeoff on the movie The Firm.
Okay, yeah, that was a great movie, Tom Cruise.
And it was this particular cartoon involved Webb Hubble, and and this is the only time this that I tried to make the case multiple times over a period of weeks. Please let me publish this. No, he was probably doing me a favor, but anyway, that one never got published.
So do you think if it had been published, death threats would have been probably received?
Maybe a nasty letter.
Yeah, I know that this doesn't sound like me, but I get death threats all the time.
You do?
I do. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. The only time I took it serious was at the last station I was working at. I actually had a person go write it all out. They went into the newspaper and cut out the letters.
Wow.
And pasted them. So if somebody takes that much time to send something to you, they're really sick. I'm just telling you. And I called up Terry Hastings at the time, and I said, "What can you guys do about this?" And he said, "We'll be over to get it from you in a moment, Dave."
Yeah. I had a similar situation back in the early 2000s. And it all ended okay.
No, that's good. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying I don't get people that are ticked off at me and call me names and all that, but names don't hurt me. Bullets will.
When you're putting your opinion out there to a mass audience, you never know who you're going to reach and what they're going to make of it.
And you don't know how many people are on that edge out there. Mm-hmm. That what you're saying just edges them a little further, too far on the edge.
Everybody's on the edge these days.
Yeah, well, that's true. And everybody gets offended these days, don't they?
Everybody's ready to be offended.
Yeah.
It's like a former coworker of mine used to say, so-and-so's got a good mad going and they don't want you to spoil it for them.
There's a lot of people like that. There are. That's why I wear the hoodies that I wear. I mean, I had one on, I think last week that said, think before it's illegal.
Think before it's illegal.
Yeah. As far as things like that. And of course, we talked about today's, which is, my facts aren't going to get
subject to
your feelings. Yeah. That's really from Ben Shapiro, who's a friend of mine. And, he had the shirt, and I told him I loved it, and he sent me one of them. He's a great guy, but Dave, I'm big on that stuff.
The whole thing about feelings over facts. I know that you and I are the same generation. You probably recall this better than I do. In the late 60s, early 70s, local news affiliates started going in for feelings, reporting about feelings over facts.
That's when advocacy journalism started.
Yeah. And it was all, you'd hand somebody a microphone and say, well, how did this make you feel?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty subjective.
Yeah.
That's okay for the opinion page, because that's the outlet for that. But news is news and feelings are feelings.
I try to make it clear to people when I'm reading the story on the air, I read it verbatim. Val will tell you, I read it verbatim on the air. But then comes my part of, I've been around for, 73 years now, and I've seen some of this stuff come and go before, and I may try to give you a different viewpoint on the story. But people know when I'm telling them what I think about it.
Well, and in a political cartoon, if I'm going to quote the president, I try to make sure that I'm quoting him directly. I'm not really. I try to keep it within a certain framework of commentary that I feel is responsible. Others may disagree, but that's what I try to do.
Yeah. But that goes back to that point that we said just earlier, and that is we say what we say, but we can't keep you from thinking that we said something entirely different when we didn't.
Yeah.
My dad always told me, and this is something I never understood about intelligence groups and things of that nature, that if somebody says something, you should believe them. So when the idiots over in Iran are saying death to America, I take them at their word. And I look at what they've been doing, and they're trying to get a nuke. Well, we don't want to give them a chance to get a nuke. So let's stop them. Makes sense to me.
Last time I was on, I think I mentioned that I felt like regardless of how this is being prosecuted now and the problems that have developed, what happened back in late February was a result of 50 years of asymmetrical warfare, what Iran has been doing through proxies to our troops over the years, what happened in 1979 with the taking of the hostages, the failed attempt to rescue them that led to the deaths of several service members. And so sort of like that movie, The Postman Always Rings Twice.
Right.
You know, might not be about the nukes, but what happened was going to happen based on their behavior from the last 50 years.
And that's very true. I mean, Trump has said, I'm doing what all those other presidents that didn't do anything should have done. Mm-hmm. And he's right about that. I mean, we shouldn't have had to wait, 47 years to tell the Iranians enough is enough.
I think it's unfortunate that, or maybe they felt like it was pressing enough to ignore it, but it's unfortunate that the whole Strait of Hormuz situation wasn't planned for with a backup plan. I think there were some assumptions made there that have come back to bite us, but it is what it is.
Well, we were talking before the show, and I was talking about Dick Armey, and we started talking about his good buddy that was Newt Gingrich, and they're ones that did the contract for America back in the day. And you said that Newt had a real good idea about the Strait of Hormuz, and you want to share that with everybody?
Quoted in the news this morning on a couple of sites. He said they should just drop 4 or 5 nukes on there and open it up. Of course, Newt's a unique thinker. He was wanting to mine the moon when he ran for president last time. You just never know what Newt's going to come up with.
But you would have literally, it would be like another Suez Canal.
It would be it'd be a different environment.
It would be.
You might have to wear a
radioactive
radiation suit to go through.
But that's Newt thinking outside the box.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what he always did.
Original thinker.
Okay, we got to get a final break in here on the Dave I don't like that. Here on the Dave Ellswick Show. And we'll be back with John Deering in a moment here on 101.1 The Answer.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it. And it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more. And I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on the dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
So you need a new roof for your house. You got a leak. I can only tell you, go with the best. Go with the folks that I use. PI Roofing. PI Roofing will get your roof taken care of. They'll deal with the insurance people, the appraisers, and all that stuff. All you have to do is call them and ask them to help you. 501-707-3548. It's a number to call so you can talk to the good folks at PI Roofing.
Something big is happening, and you need to be in the know. Operation Epic Fury is here, and the only place to get all the details. Stay tuned and listen closely for updates on Operation Epic Fury on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Don't miss out on the latest news. Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Dave Ellswick Show continues now. 101.1 The Answer.
All right, back. Let's finish it up here on the Dave Ellswick Show. I always say this to Val. It'd be nice if we could broadcast when we break the conversations that go on in the studio sometimes, because they may be even better than what you're hearing on the air, although I can be a little bit more colorful when I'm not on the air, to be honest with you. But John,
A little bit.
you know, you and you and I literally grew up in this. What year did you graduate from high school?
73.
Okay, I graduated 71. And when you look back, when you were that age, when you were 18 in 73, I was 18 in 1971. And I look back on it, and things that we're dealing with today, I just shake my head and go, what in the hell is going on with these people? I look at the young people, and I understand being, wanting the American dream and stuff, but I never thought that anybody else should pay off my student loan debt. Never.
That wasn't, we had student loan debt. I remember my brother having to struggle with that after, he went to DeVry Tech. And so, and it was a challenge, but expecting others to pay it, I think that goes along with a lot of other trends that we see.
Well, maybe about that is that when we borrowed the money to go to school, we had to borrow from a bank to go to school. Not like today where they just, fan out the money and say how much you need.
Yeah, it was a totally different system, and it's not like you could go to the bank and say, I'm not really feeling this. Well, what do you mean? Well, it's just so hard. I'm not sure if I can. Yeah, the bank.
Yeah,
the bank is not exactly there to hear that.
No, they would laugh at you.
Yeah,
they would have laughed at me back then. I just know they would have. And my dad would have looked at me and say, "Son, you borrowed the money."
I think another big difference between now and when you and I were in high school is of course the media, the 24-hour news cycle, how kids' behavior is dictated by what they see on their telephones. It's just a different society altogether in a lot of different ways.
I'll give you a good example. I was out at the drive-in on a date one night. And in fact, we were watching a marathon of the Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And I got my date home at about 4:00 in the morning. And because it was like 6 movies. So I get home and I walk in the door. The first thing I did is I turned on television. The only thing that was on at that time was a news show, and it was the night that Bobby Kennedy had been assassinated in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And